Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dax Shepard. I'm joined by Miniature Mouse.
I'm here.
Manica Badman.
It's me.
Today we have a really great guest, Hasan Minhaj.
Yes.
You probably became familiar with him on The Daily Show. He had an incredible stand-up special on Netflix.
Homecoming King.
It's
incredible.
And now he has Patriot Act on Netflix, which I'm genuinely a fan of prior to even chatting with him. He is just incredibly smart and funny and has a most interesting story. We really liked him.
Yeah, we did.
Now for some exciting news. Guys, we're coming for you in the Midwest.
We're coming. Get ready.
Chrysler Pacifica is going to present the Armchair Expert live in the Midwest. Tickets are going to go on sale Friday, May 10th at 10 a.m. local time. Are you seated? June 21st, Detroit at the Fox Theater. June 23rd, Cleveland at the KeyBank State Theater. June 28th, Chicago at the Chicago Theater. And rounding out the tour, June 29th in Minneapolis at the Orpheum Theater. We are so excited. We're going to be driving to these locations in my pimped out Pacifica, which is going to add a real second layer of fun to the whole project.
Everyone will get to see what you've been talking about.
Summertime in the Midwest. I hope you'll want to sign up. Again, tickets go on sale Friday, May 10th at 10 a.m. You can go to our website and follow a link to buy those tickets, www.armchairexpertpod.com. Please enjoy Hasan Minhaj.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Oh, I might have fucked it up because I was recording with
You're
the girls
so
yesterday.
loud in my ears.
Oh, you did a podcast with the kids?
Yeah, we were here yesterday. I have two little girls, and we were fucking around looking at what's new this week. And
What are the ages?
4 and 6.
Oh, wow.
You're 2?
I have a baby daughter. She just turned 1.
Just turned 1.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Now, I did some fast math, as I like to do,
Sure.
Hasan, and I noticed she got married in January, yet that child was born in April.
No, so what I did.
Oh, okay. Let's hear this.
I got married in
Yeah.
January, but we've been married for years.
January.
I thought you got married in 18.
I thought you were. I mean, I'll give you another real detail. According to Wikipedia, the date of my daughter is off, which is great. I love that. The internet doesn't need to know the birth certificate.
I couldn't agree more.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nice.
Until they run for office and they have to prove their citizenship. You know how that is.
When my wife gave birth to our first daughter, we were at the hospital, and you went through this. You, at some point, fill out the birth certificate, like you declare what the name's going to be.
Yeah.
And like 2 hours after we did that, we got an email from Kristen's publicist saying they just announced it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
how did it get out?
Exactly. I don't know who they pay, but
Is that weird for you?
yeah, I hate it.
Yeah,
I'm
you're,
like protective of my family, and
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
And it's a great indicator of like what you're up against. It's like, oh, the baby's 12 hours old,
Yeah.
and somehow they've already infiltrated and found out her name.
I mean, Dax, you're a hashtag couples goals.
It's very stressful
Yeah.
for
Right?
me.
Him
It's
and
a
Kristen,
lot.
They're couples goals. You guys are Instagram
Sure.
fodder.
Let me ask you: would that stress you out?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it
I
stresses me out.
I married my college sweetheart, so it's one of those things where, Bina, my wife, is very polar opposite of what I sort of do and
Right.
all that stuff, in a good way.
And so yes and no, right? She's super smart. She has her doctorate degree.
Yes.
Yeah,
But no, PhD.
PhD.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she lets me know. Yeah.
Okay, so she has a PhD.
A PhD in health management.
Health management, and she is currently working in some capacity on homelessness. Yeah.
Right. So she previously worked at the VA over here.
Oh, in
when we were living in
Westwood?
Yeah. So they started, and this is just for the record, this is pre all this insane sort of crazy stuff that was going on in the news. But she worked there.
Lucky for me, I had no idea what happened.
Okay, no worries.
Was there like a sex trafficking
There was
ring
no sex
going on there?
trafficking thing, but it's a sort of classic sort of like government bureaucracy. Not enough patients are being seen and all that sort of stuff. My mom also works at the VA over at Mather up in Sacramento. And,
Oh.
they're dealing with the same sort of stuff.
Oh, so you married your mom?
I did.
I married
Almost
mine.
Exactly, yeah.
Almost exactly, I guess. In terms of occupation, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and are they similar in their personality at all?
They're different, but they're both Indian women. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
well,
beautiful. They're beautiful brown women. Yeah,
clearly,
I have a type.
they grew up in vastly different cultures, so naturally they're probably much different personality-wise. But
Yes.
but those kind of core traits of a human, do they share any of those? I'll lead.
Yeah, sure.
So my mom was a workaholic.
yeah,
I adore her. She's my favorite human on the planet. Very loving, very generous, a capacity to nurture like you've never seen.
yeah.
And that's my wife. She's a workaholic and is very generous and has a capacity
And you
to
were
nurture.
attracted to that.
Unwittingly, while it was happening.
Yeah. Do you think it's as binary as I know this is a running take that you have on the podcast? Do you think it's that binary that Freudian and all that sort of stuff? By all means, please push back, Monica.
Thank you. I always do. That is my position
But
here.
you generally push back in the back end of the podcast. I want you coming in Act 1.
Thank you for saying that. I know, but I
Look
don't
at him
wanna-
rising up.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here. We've been waiting for you for so long.
She's been
It'll always
outnumbered.
be at the end of the podcast, and then I'll hear Monica, and she'll go, Crystalia, how did I feel about it? And I'm like, fuck that. Come in at
Yeah.
minute 4 and tell them what it is.
I know, but I feel like I'm being rude if I do that.
No, 1,000% let them know what time it is. Why?
You're
Why
right.
not?
You're right.
Oh my God! I didn't know he's coming in here to lead a mutiny.
I feel powerful.
But I mean, look, if we're going to do a podcast that's entirely driven by take that has no data behind it, we're just going
Yeah,
off the top of the
totally.
dome.
Oh.
So I don't know. So look, to answer your question, what I will say is that I don't think it's as binary. There's things that they have in common, but then there's things that they have that are completely not in common at all. But what I am attracted to in both of them, that's weird. What I love about both of them,
It's even hotter in my mom, but I am attracted to it both.
yeah. But what I love most, and I've always been attracted to in her, is that she genuinely is like an empath. She wants to make other people's lives better. That's just like her biggest love language. And if she sees someone struggling, she will just go out of her way to help them.
Right.
And one of the things I admire most about her, and it's weird, me being a performer, people love my wife. Even at the office, people love her more than they love me.
Well, I'm in the same club, partner. Yeah.
But that was really,
But
that's
okay,
really cool.
so look, I
to me.
am in no way positioning it as binary. Even a bigger overarching theme of this podcast is gray. I don't believe in black and white. I don't believe that the left's got it right or the right's got it right. I do think the world is existing within the 80% between those shoulders, but
Right.
it is fun to think about. I think people sometimes mistake love for familiarity, which I do think is pretty common. Like people will meet someone and it just feels right and it feels like love, but what it really feels like is some kind of familiarity.
Yeah.
And
But
safety.
is that wrong if that's healthy?
No, not at all.
If it's unhealthy, I totally understand if it's wrong. But if it's
Yeah.
just like,
no, I don't think it's wrong at all.
like I now love listening to NPR in the morning because it reminds me of when my dad used to drop me off to school and he would listen to NPR. Dun, 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 dun. It's Monday, September 24th.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
comforting.
China's, and it's just sort of this like white noise of
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mine is New Age jazz. My father
Really?
loved New Age jazz. And if
Really?
I'm just like scanning through and I land on the wave for a minute, I'll go, yeah, let's just hang here for a moment.
Yeah.
It feels safe.
Yeah.
Are you close with your parents then?
Yes, I love my parents a lot.
You are. You're
Yes.
close with them.
Yeah. I mean, we had some butting of heads as Simba was trying to leave Pride Rock.
Sure.
But then, as I sort of solidified, Monica, I mean,
get
you
it.
have Daisy parents, right?
I mean, I think my parents are much cooler than a lot of other Indian parents.
they're cool auntie and uncle. I remember those.
Well, my mom grew up here.
Okay. Oh wow.
So,
yeah, that's wild.
She came over when she was 6. So when we watched, by the way, love Homecoming King
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
It's her
So
favorite thing in the
much.
world.
Oh
for
my
sure.
God.
Yes.
When
Wow.
it
And my
really-
wife's head over heels in love with you.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I watched it and then I immediately texted her and I was like, "You have to watch this immediately."
You texted your mom.
No, Kristen. Well, Kristen is my mom also,
yeah,
but
Okay.
yeah.
That's weird.
Well, hold on.
This is so bizarre.
Kristen's also her baby, so don't think that there's any kind of power dynamic.
That's true.
Kristen's also her baby and her mom.
Yeah,
so
well,
there's a lot of
we share
titles.
a lot of roles.
I haven't been in Hollywood for like 5 years. I've been gone for a long time.
This is what you're missing.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
She's
Go
my
ahead, Monica.
wife and my
Yep.
baby and my mom.
You guys really do live in the gray on this podcast. Continue.
Yeah.
Anyway, so loved it
Thank
and
you.
thought it was so exactly spot on and beautifully done. It was really,
Thank
really
you.
good. And my mom grew up here, so I feel like the story you were telling was a little bit more like her story as opposed to mine. Like I'm
Got it.
a little bit more.
So
of
your
the-
mom was like, "Do improv. That's cool. UCB 101. Good for you.
She was not-
Let's sweep the scene.
but they were
Got
like,
it.
just do what you're
Do what you want to do. That's awesome.
With a mix, with it was still a nice, healthy.
I mean, they were worried about me being far away. I think that was the main thing. And they wanted me to have like financial security, but they weren't like, you got to be a doctor, you got to be this, or you got to be this. They were like, just make some money so that you're fine.
Yeah.
And I don't really care how you do that, but this looks like a hard way to do it. So that scares us.
Right.
But now they're so happy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. They
I'm
came
sorry
and
to see
saw our live show in Chicago.
Oh, my
At
God.
the Chicago Theater, 3,500 people.
Yeah, it was special.
And when Monica comes out, the place goes fucking bonkers. I mean,
Really?
it's 3 minutes before I can calm everyone down and proceed with the show.
Is this podcast the most like enriching, fun thing that you've done?
Oh, by a landslide.
What
yeah,
got
yeah.
you to do it? Because you are the IMDb Pro star meter Dax Shepard. What made you go? What made you?
I don't know if
understand what
was
I'm
that a
saying?
burn or was that good?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean that.
I
I mean that in a very in a complimentary way.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You and Kristen are tentpole pieces
Okay.
of Hollywood.
Okay. Well,
Do you get what I'm saying? It's
well, yeah,
you're
sure.
You're a commodity that trades on the market.
I understand that there is a perception of that. Of course, in my life, I don't
Sure,
feel like
in your day-to-day
I
life
feel like
as
a
you're going-
12-year-old from Michigan.
Sure.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
So no, I never looked in the mirror and been like,
Yeah.
look at this fucking tent pole staring back at me.
But that indicates what's on the wall here. And to the listeners who can't see, this is a cutout, a manual cutout that our parents would do. People magazine.
It's shitting on me.
Do you know what I mean? Those of you guys who can't see this because this is a audio thing, is Dax straight up just took off his shoe.
I know.
And just starts massaging his foot.
And
Let's
is
go-
just holding his shoe up for no
Yeah.
reason at all.
That means I got really sucked in, by the way, because I don't even know why I'm holding this shoe.
Yeah.
But let's go even deeper. I wore this shoe specifically to impress you,
To impress me.
which I told you.
nice.
Yeah, but why would you-
It's an Air Jordan.
Yeah, it's Air Jordan 4.
And I noticed that
And
you
it's a good Jordan.
like shoes.
I love sneakers, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I'm going to try to connect with Hasan.
Well,
and I'm going to wear.
you are connecting with
And
me.
I even wore a color keyed watch. So, I got a whole theme going. Anyways, back to this. Back to why I have a podcast. I found the long form experience so liberating because I'm so used to being on talk shows where I've got to be
the 7
super.
minutes and what are the 3 stories? And
Yes,
we're
and
cut for
crush,
time, and-
fucking crush in
Yeah.
7 minutes.
You gotta be funny, man.
Yeah.
And then the YouTube link will just say Dax Shepard has a nipple ring, and you're like, what is this?
Yes, zero context.
Just zero context.
Anywho, I really liked the response of people who would listen to those, and I thought, oh, I would like to do this all the time.
What's also beautiful about the medium is nuance, which I feel like has been lost in discourse.
Oh, yeah.
That a lot of the things that we define ourselves by are very, very complicated and nuanced in our own experiences. And yeah, a 2-hour conversation will allow you to sort of see the
Get deep.
complexities.
Yeah.
Of someone's experience.
Let's put it this
Yeah,
way:
that's our goal.
we've never had a guest on here where the feedback wasn't always. I like them so much more now,
Oh, really? That's great.
and I think fundamentally, if you get to actually learn about a human being,
Yeah.
we like each other. It's like
Yeah.
encouraging.
That's been the most interesting thing is after everyone leaves, no matter what you like came in with, your preconceptions, you leave and you're like, everyone's nice. Like everyone's a real person and is
Yeah.
nice.
Everyone's scared and everyone's
Yeah.
insecure and everyone's trying and everyone, it just gets, I don't know, like very
Yeah. And the media
sympathetic.
portrays people in such a specific way with such
Sure.
hard boundaries. And you come in and you're like, oh, you're just a regular person.
Right.
Like you, I'm curious about this because Monica and I have had a few conversations about this. I'm a huge Mindy Kaling fan.
Yes.
And
Well, Mindy, come on the show.
Come on the show.
Come on the
I
show,
know,
Mindy.
I know. So I heard her on Fresh Air one time.
Yeah.
And every time Terry Gross was trying to kind of steer a question into specifically it being about her ethnicity or her role in show business
Sure.
as that ethnicity,
Sure.
I perceived it. Maybe not for her, but for me, I was hearing someone who just wanted, like, I don't want the conversation to be about that. I want it to just be, I'm a good showrunner. Let's talk about that. I understand that desire. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Yes, I'm brown and you're white.
Yeah.
I can see what that's frustrating, but I also, as a listener, was like, no, that's a really relevant part of the story. That's
Yes.
one of the things that makes you very interesting, is
Yes.
you did shatter a ceiling, and that's exciting.
Yes.
And yet I understand that she's probably fucking sick of talking about that aspect of her career.
Yeah.
So I wonder for you, because you're very defined as well. I mean, your stand-up special, which is brilliant, as Monica said, really drills down into the first generation experience.
Yes.
So is there any point where you're like, cool, I liked that brought me to the party. Now I'm sick of talking about it. And here we are talking about it.
No, for me, look, man, I think what's great, I'm very lucky, first of all, that I get to do a show that sort of shows a lot of different aspects and sides of my personality. I can cover a topic from Saudi Arabia to sort of
Watch it this morning.
Supreme, you know what I mean? And like sneaker reselling. It can run the gamut to Amazon and Facebook content moderation. So you see all these different things that I'm into or passionate about or stories that I want to tell, right?
Yeah.
But like for me, like I don't shy away from talking about it. And
Yeah.
I think we live in a time right now where that's great. I kind of came to terms for the longest time. I really did want to fit in at the party.
Yeah.
And I really wanted Chad, Corey, Cole, Adam, Brian, you know what I mean? All of them to just like me. Hey, it's Hasan. I don't want to say I'm Hasan Minhaj. I don't want to talk about being Muslim.
Yeah.
And I really started to think about, we're artists, right? I see myself as an artist. And to be a great artist, assimilation isn't the win. Authenticity is. Mm-hmm. And so whatever is authentically you, do that.
Yeah.
That's all I want
Yeah.
from artists. I'm not asking anyone to carry some baton that they should or shouldn't carry.
Right.
But for me, I am very proud to be Desi. I am very proud that like...
What did you say, Daisy?
Desi is like a person from the South Asian subcontinent.
Oh, okay. I
So
like
India,
that.
Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, that sort of brownish
Yeah.
part of the world.
Yes.
And I'm very proud to be that. And I'm very proud to, hey, be this guy who, for the most part, through elementary school, middle school, junior high, had a mustache, sideburns, glasses, was on the sidelines of the conversation, and to now be in the mainstream
Yeah.
and say, you know what it is, I'm Hasan Minhaj. This is New Brown America. To me, I'm not trying to give you Diet Pepsi version of me.
Right.
Think about your favorite musician or artist, right?
Can I just say that was a perfect, because Diet Coke is a good soda.
Oh, but-
It's a really good
But
soda.
give me that
So-
full calorie. One of my favorite authors is Eddie Wong. Eddie Wong says this great thing, and it's like it informs my choices in life. He goes, I don't buy off the sales rack, and I don't wear Reeboks. What he's trying to say in his first book, Fresh Off the Boat, I wear Jordans, I wear Nike, I wear the brand that I really fucking love.
Right.
And like, you know, now that I have a little bit of bread, I'm going to go into the store and I'm going to buy the jacket that I want.
Like a first-class citizen.
But it's not that. It's an uncompromised choice.
Oh, okay.
I'm wearing the Air Jordan 3 white cement. I'm not going to get the colorway that's a little bit... I want this one. I've
Yes.
been eyeing it for a long time, so I'm getting it. And that's the same thing. That's the approach to Hasan Minhaj.
Right.
It is what it is. And I
Sure.
don't care if...
You're not apologizing.
Yeah. And I don't care if in the producer session they go, Hasan Minhaj, I'm just like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Because the internet is real and there's more people who look like me than you.
Right.
I'm sorry to get a little Farrakhan about it,
No,
but it's like
yeah,
how I
sure.
feel.
Yeah.
Like I feel a certain way about it.
Yeah.
Well, hold on though. There's not everyone looks like you. You're a solid 9. So let's just let hold on now. You're 6 foot what? Let's just
I'm 6'1".
let's own
That
your
is rare.
let's own your
That's rare
privilege.
for an
Let's own your privilege.
I have no. Oh, and I'm an American citizen.
Fucking with you. No, you're a babe.
I
My
own
wife's
all of
in
that.
love with you. So let's just not say everyone looks like you on the planet.
Okay.
Or that more people look like you.
Monica,
than-
what do you think?
I think you're a babe.
Yeah, she's
you-
feeling
No,
it.
what I mean by that is that did you not grow up with a lot of? Don't you have a cousin named Varun who kind of looks like me? Poofy hair, lined up beard. A dude named Vikash who you kind of know, like.
Lined up a beard.
How amazing is this, Dax? This wouldn't have been possible in 2011,
Oh,
2012.
yeah.
These type of
Yeah, I know.
conversations
It's
Yeah.
in
awesome.
pop culture.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Monica, you know, this sort of unbridled honesty
Yeah.
where we're playing offense,
Yeah.
not possible.
No, I fully agree. There's been so much progression.
I'm getting nervous I didn't bring one of my guns with me.
Yeah,
I
you
mean, that's
should.
how
You
much I
should.
yeah.
You should.
But no, but I actually think it's really exciting for us as, again, as
Yes.
artists and creatives, because we're all mutants.
Yeah.
Now, for all of us to authentically see everybody's superpowers, you're Cyclops and Jubilee shoots things out of her hands, and that's Gambit, and everyone is authentically showing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too. Look at
I think it's fucking awesome.
yeah, next to my wife, this is the most exciting human being I've met in my life. I couldn't
Monica?
love Monica more. Yeah. I know her story inside and out. I'm obsessed with her. But I know hers really well. I do want to go to elementary school,
Sure.
junior high, high school.
But wait, I have one.
Wait,
Oh,
wait,
sorry.
Monica, we're gonna let you finish your
Also, 2 things. One, I do think you're far more handsome than most people. So no, I don't have a cousin that looks like you, I don't think.
Okay.
2, the reason you feel so strongly about I'm not compromising, because you compromised for so long.
I compromised a ton.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I was heading.
And I compromised growing up. I compromised my first 10, 12 years in showbiz. There's so many things I'm just embarrassed of. And I just did it because I was scared.
Right.
Yeah.
Straight up scared.
I did some real rough shit too, even as a white guy. There's a lot of compromising when you're brand new.
Yeah, but it's
you
just
do a lot of
why
stuff
did
you don't.
why did I do that?
I played a hot dog like a harmonica in an AM/PM commercial. So bad, so embarrassed.
Yeah. But I actually think that just I've just been public about just owning it and being like, man, it was really humiliating and embarrassing, and I probably shouldn't have done it. I should have just been like, I'm not.
Well, how did you feel about that Master of None episode where he goes into doing the accent or not? Did you see that episode of Master of None?
Yeah, totally.
It was great.
Yeah,
and I
and
watched
it's a great sort of like philosophical choice. Yeah.
Yeah, and the one actor, what was his name? Kristen's in business.
Ravi.
with her. Yeah. Beautiful, nice guy.
Ravi's amazing. I love Ravi.
Yeah, and I'm watching, and he's like, "Oh, I don't care, I'll do it, like whatever."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I kind of get that. Like, I'm,
Yeah.
I could see myself going like, "Yeah, whatever. There's no skin off my back." to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
And then also, obviously, I see Aziz's point really well.
No, here's the thing. Again, these are personal choices for everybody. It just depends on what does it rock with your personal compass.
Yes.
So, like, I'll give you like an example. I remember there was this pilot that I was auditioning for, and this was in like 2012, 2013, and it was a untitled sitcom where it took place at like essentially like an Office Max, Office Depot. There's a bunch of characters that work at the Office Depot, and there was an Indian character, and the way the Indian character is presented is they're in the back room, and then all of a sudden, out of the loading dock, this shipping crate comes in, and the shipping crate opens up, and Bopinder just got shipped from India.
Oh my God.
And he's just like, what am I doing here? And so in my scene, so we're in page 4.
We're off to a rough start.
We're in the producer session. Boop. We in recorder, tripod.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to come out of the crate. Bopinder's here, right?
Sure.
And the casting director goes, hey, get in the crate. Because I started out of the crate.
Sure.
And I'm then talking normally. And she goes, no, you got to get in the crate and then just come out and just,
do the thing.
do the thing.
Yeah.
And then I could hear, I'm hunching over, and then I open the. So it's so far from Bangalore. You know what I mean? Coming out of the thing, and I just remember being, man, what am I doing?
Sure.
I knew this isn't something I'm proud of.
You weren't pushing anything forward with this.
Yeah, like the artistic discourse, all that stuff. I'm not moving anything forward. There was a rut. There was a period of time in my life here. It's why I don't like coming to LA too much. Where everything that I did was really just defined by a desire to fit in and just try to get on. And that I don't like.
Yeah, that's rough.
Even like driving here, I was getting a ton of anxiety going down sort of Sunset. And you just see all the billboards of everything.
Yeah, so it's reminding you of how low you are in the.
Yeah, and you're just kind of like.
Do you see any for Bless This Mess?
Everybody is trying to get on.
Yes.
And none of it has to do with the actual work.
Let's just start with, in general, the whole endeavor is humiliating. Now you add on to, again, it's what people seem to not understand about white privilege. It's a very triggering word. I get why it's triggering. Because it sounds like what you're saying is that my struggle was not hard and that my accomplishments mean less on its surface when I very first hear the definition.
Yeah.
But then when it's explained like, no, your life's going to be very hard. You might have stepdads that kick your ass. You might get molested.
Sure.
But your skin color will never be one of the things that's hard.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And if you say it that way, I'm like, you're absolutely right. I can definitely see that. So the young actor experience in Hollywood is just demoralizing and humiliating. You're auditioning for a fucking TGIF Friday commercial, dancing with a fucking kazoo in your mouth. There's no music. It's just you get in your car, you feel like you just got fucking gang rape.
Yeah.
Now add on top of that, yes, there's a race component and you're just playing an archetype that is fucking embarrassing and backwards and all that. Then it's harder.
Yeah.
So it's like I can relate on one level to just the humiliation that that there is.
And as like performers, we can all relate to that.
Yeah, and I'm fucking so I'm praying my friends in Detroit don't see me in this AM/PM commercial.
And then didn't you feel like your life, I don't know if you still feel this way, but because now you're like writing and directing and all these things, but your life is just in the wind of destiny.
1,000%.
Whichever direction it blows you. And you're just like, I hope it blows me in the right direction.
Yes, and this notion that you're choosing at that stage. You're not choosing. You're not navigating many decisions. You're like, you go 6 months, you don't get anything. And then you're in an MTD lawnmower commercial. You're stoked. You can pay rent.
Yeah.
That's what's on the table. It's not like you're fielding offers and trying to,
But that very primal idea of both emotional validation and then financial validation. I need to pay rent, and then hopefully this helps my IMDb star meter, and this leads to the next thing. Both of those things are mired in desperation, and that is not an emotion I like operating from.
Nor is it attractive or appealing, or does it make people want to work with you, or all these things.
And so if then everyone on that Sunset Boulevard drive, from your Lyft driver to you to the person that you're getting a coffee with, everyone's trying to get on. That is a very shallow emotion. Versus like even someone showing you something in their notebook. Look at what I drew. That's intrinsically tied to like a real creative commodity.
Yes.
Of like, hey, look at my drawing. It's really good. It's like, hey, this is something that I did. And Monica has a drawing, or you have a joke, and I have a joke. I like that. That's what I love.
But that's why comedy is intrinsically more democratizing than anything else.
Sure.
And especially now with the technology being what it is.
Yeah.
So you can be funny in 30 seconds. And you can put that out there. You don't have to wait for your phone to ring to go be funny. Okay, but I want to go back to Davis. Because your parents moved to Davis, California, and just out of the gates,
immigrated,
emigrated.
Yeah.
That's when you leave. Whew, I'm so nervous.
You're learning so much.
So nervous.
I actually don't even know. They left. They went from India.
They immigrated here.
Yeah.
But if they were in India, they would emigrate to the U.S.
Oh, interesting. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would emigrate to Britain.
I didn't know.
But if I was in Britain, I'd be an immigrant who immigrated there.
Got it.
Okay. So I just want to start by saying you a little bit hit the lottery just by going to Davis, California, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you ended up other places.
By the way,
yeah.
Like when everyone talks about this triggering conversation of privilege, I think the thing that people don't like about it is they go, hey, man, you're telling me the things that I got in my life I didn't earn?
Exactly.
Fuck you, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I've talked about. Prashant, who's the co-creator and head writer of our show, we talked about this at length, and he's a deep, like, very spiritual guy and has advised me a lot as like a brother and a friend. And he goes, how much of your life do you think is your own volition, and how much of your life is trends and forces? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times we get it twisted. We think that a lot of it is our own volition and not trends and forces.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we could just take a moment to understand that there are things called trends and forces, aka luck, privilege, whatever you want to call it. Trends and forces is a little less triggering. That helped shape the way for you. So
100%.
I will be 100% candid, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of cousins back home in India that live in Delhi. Delhi is incredibly populated. There's a lot of like traffic and smog. I have cousins that are better looking than me, that are more charming than me. I have a cousin named Sahil. Sahil's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. My wife confirms this. She's like, Sahil's way funnier than you.
Sure.
Everyone that I know knows how funny Sahil is.
Yeah.
I have a cousin Saad who's like really tall, buff, just super good looking. Like he could be an actor. He could be a Bollywood actor. He's so good looking. Saad is in Delhi. He has to be an engineer. He has to do what he has to do to survive. And Saad, if you're listening to this, I love you. I lucked out. Najmi came here to the States. His older sister helped get his visa so he could come here. He got a job working at the Cal EPA in Sacramento. We moved to Davis. Davis has good schools. I lucked out. That is trends and forces working in Hasan Minhaj's favor.
California is more multicultural. Also, additionally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I'll contextualize it for the people that didn't have the immigrant experience. I'll give you 3 trends and forces examples where Hasan Minhaj lucked out. Hasan Minhaj lucks out. I moved to Hollywood in 2009, 2010. I call this era, and all my friends call it the dark ages, between 2009 to 2014. Things were not really going too well for me here in Los Angeles. My dream was to always be on The Daily Show. But The Daily Show, they only have 5 correspondents. It's a small group. Someone has to leave. And just to give you perspective.
Can I ask you a quick question on that?
Yeah.
That's written in stone, or just you did observe that they seem to have 5?
You just observe over the years. You go, look, it's Carell, Helms, Cordry, but Samby. It's usually 5 or 6 tops. Okay. Right? And it was a dream of mine to be there.
Not SNL.
Not SNL.
Okay.
I always wanted to do like...
Because you majored in poli-sci. You've always liked
and
politics.
I was just like, oh man, like I can do this. I can't do voices, but I can like be funny, but be quick, but then also be pointed and have sort of biting commentary, but then also like write savage jokes. Like This
Yes.
is my lane.
Right.
I can do this, and I just need a chance. But you need an opening. And the people who are on the show stay on the show for quite a long time. Sam was there for like 10 plus years. Colbert was there for like 8 something, Oliver 8. Like, people are there for a long time. Michael Che happens to leave. He goes back to SNL to do Weekend Update. Now there's an opening. I lucked out. I happened to be doing comedy for 10 years, 1 month, and 9 days at the point where I got my screen test.
Right.
So I had enough, cuts and wounds and chops to get in and screen test and be ready for John. But that's a luck thing.
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
on that day in 2014, I would have 10 years behind. That's a luck thing. Che leap has nothing to do with my ability.
Right.
It's a luck.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
White House Correspondents' Dinner, another sort of inflection point in my career. Donald Trump becomes president. Big deal. All of a sudden, the cultural zeitgeist of the country now shifts. Post-Obama America goes, oh, maybe this country is a lot more sexist and racist than we thought. First year of the presidency, Donald Trump decides to not show up to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Also in his first year, he enacts the Muslim ban. Who does the WHCA look for? A Muslim comedian. That's me getting lucky, man.
Sure.
All of those things. The guy from The Daily Show who got that opportunity because of Trends and Forces, who then got hired by Jon Stewart, Trends and Forces, who then had an opening because we were in a very racially charged, Islamophobic America. In that time, people are like, hey, man, this is like really fucked up. The WHCA makes a move to then go, hey, maybe let's have him do it.
Yeah.
Versus, let's say it goes in the opposite direction. Let's say Hillary Clinton wins. Now you have the first year of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Yes, Queen. You're going to go with Samantha Bee. You're going to go with Alana Glazer. You're going to go with the choice that represents the trends and the cultural forces of the time.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with my talent.
Right.
And
Well, hold on. It doesn't have nothing to do with your talent. We cannot put a bozo up there just because he is
I'm not the funniest
Muslim.
man. I'm telling you, there's a lot of funnier comedians than me. I tell you right now in my class, the comics that are funnier than me. There's a lot. Mulaney's funnier. Michael Che's funnier. Michelle Wolf is funnier. There's cats out there
But
that are
I'm
a lot funnier
saying
than me.
I'm saying a Muslim comedian. As you point out, yes, the situation calls for that, and then now we're going to go to the pool of people who are funny, and at that point now your talent is everything.
Your talent got you in the pool.
Right.
Yes, and
So the
you could
thing
say
that we're all
you're
debating here, the three of us were debating, is what's the percentage?
Right.
What's the percentage
Sure.
of that's the debatable thing. And by the way, I'm not
Yeah.
holding an absolute on that.
right.
Yeah.
Your humility, I think, is defined by how much you're willing to acknowledge the amount that Trends and Forces. Because there's a lot of people that are like, Trends and Forces is 10%, 90% is me. And I go, yes and no. So I will say this, 2 things. There's 2 things that like really change my perspective on this. Right now what's happening in the world, there's a lot of xenophobia that's happening with Brexit and what's happening in Europe. There was this beautiful image that I saw that was posted. It was in regards to the migrant crisis of things that are happening where a lot of people, refugees were going into Greece and parts of Europe to try to escape. And there was a photo and a really funny comedian friend of mine named Amar Rahman, who's hilarious, he's an Australian comic. He posted, you can say whatever you want about these people. And it was these young kids getting off the raft, running to land. You can call them whatever you want. You can call them filthy, vermin, a disease, but just know this. The only difference between them and you is luck.
Yeah.
It made me look at that blue passport in a whole new way. Man, I lucked out having this. I don't disrespect this incredible privilege that was given to me.
Right.
By whatever, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. And look, like with you living here in LA, right?
Yeah.
Did this Aunt Becky scandal, for the love of God, did it finally put the light? Could we not finally be fucking honest about this idea of meritocracy?
Oh,
Finally,
Yeah.
the light has been cast, especially as like they're trying to like disassemble affirmative action and all these things that include other types of people. Can we finally acknowledge at every single juncture of your life, there are a group of people that had mommy and daddy walk them to the front of the nightclub of opportunity.
My tweet about it, which I think was misunderstood by quite a few people, was my mom paid my rent and my tuition at UCLA.
Yeah.
Also, I got hit by a car and she paid my medical expenses for that.
Yeah.
Those
Your
three,
mom's an amazing woman.
she's really incredible.
What an incredible
She
person.
is.
But those 3 things wipe out someone else. I'm able to complete that due to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people that takes out of the mix.
Yeah.
So what I said about this Aunt Becky thing was that it did not expose inequality in the system. It exposed the zenith of the inequality.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it exposed. Oh, wow, it goes that far.
Yeah.
But to think that I am not somewhere on the ladder of opportunity and inequality, I was on it. Of course,
Sure.
I'm not fancying myself.
And I was on it too. The fact that Najmi, my dad, was willing to pay for Kaplan classes. I fucked up Kaplan, and then he paid
Is that like an SAT taking
Yeah, I
thing?
took
Okay.
it too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kaplan.
you guys did.
And then I fucked around, and I did shitty in Kaplan, and then my dad re-upped. I mean, we're talking about immigrant parents. Re-upped and took my dumbass to Princeton Review. That's a privilege.
Yeah. You know who was shocked by the Annie Maggie, whatever it is?
Aunt Becky.
Aunt Becky.
Jesus, Annie Maggie.
The people that were shocked by Aunt Becky were white people. If I'm black and I'm young, I'm not like, wait, the system's rigged. I'm like, no, motherfucker, the system's is clearly rigged. It's to what degree is it rigged?
It's what I love about it is the brightness of the light that was cast upon it. Now it's on the front page of Twitter. It's on the front page of the New York Times. Here it is. It's in print.
But I want to get into it because to me, the headline is spurring on is more about that issue. I want them to look below that and acknowledge that's just the tip.
I love that too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's
yeah.
go even deeper. Let's really compare the experience of going to college from a super low income trailer or ghetto to many other people's. I want it to be more about like, oh yeah, it's drastically unfair in many, many ways.
Yes. And to me, the issue behind the issue is that like, and now I'm starting to understand this as a parent because I went through this as a kid, and I've talked about it. Very candidly on the show. Like one of our first episodes was affirmative action. I've been candid about like my SAT score and how hard my parents were on me and all that stuff. But I like as a dad now, I'm like, what are we teaching our kids? That the ends justify the means?
100%.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that I have. That just like, hey, don't worry about it. As long as you get in a good school, it'll be fine. And then that'll be the fast track to the next thing, And then before you know it, that's how like this desire to get to that next monkey bar
It perpetuates itself.
without any sort of, hey, morality, throw it out the window.
Or how about process?
Yeah.
How about that it's not about the result? It's about the process. It's no wonder at 44 I'm still trying my hardest to enjoy process. For many years, it was all about the point of the movie was hopefully it would open and then I could do a bigger movie, make more money. And then the point of that movie would be, no one said to me, hey, this is the end goal. Go away for 3 months with these creative people and enjoy the fuck out of this. On your deathbed, you'll think about the 3-month experience of making it, not the Friday opening.
Yeah.
Like no
Those
one
3
really
months
pulled.
You were in Albuquerque shooting the bubble light.
Well, I did Albuquerque all nights in a Costco. Not
really.
The process was a little rough. But yeah, no one's.
Was that for Employee of the Month?
Yes, exactly.
What a wild time! I remember watching that and just being like back home, being like, "This is unbelievable." I can only imagine.
In what way?
Just
please tell me.
Just Dane Cook took comedy to this stadium level place.
Right. Yeah.
The economy of it was booming, and then you were hanging off the shopping cart like this.
Oh my God, you
had
really
blonde hair, and
remember?
You're hanging off like this. Rob, take a photo. He's hanging off like this.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And
Explain it to the big deal to me. I want to really break it down.
What I mean is that I was just like,
because if I were you, you're 11 years younger than me.
yes.
If I was,
When it's 2007, 2008, right?
I guess it came out in 06 or 07.
Yeah.
So how old are you then?
06 or 07, 85, 22, 23, something like that.
If I'm 22 and I see that poster as a comedian, I'm like, what a joke. Oh my God, he's hanging off of a grocery cart. I would have been so cynical of that.
No, the gloss of that movie poster really was like, you can go from performing at the Laugh Factory to being the main person.
Oh, okay. So it kind of seemed...
but to be 1,000% real, that happened in 2004, walking past the Holiday Cinema in Davis, California, and seeing John Cho and Cal Penn on the cover of
Kumar.
the White Castle. They were both the leads of that movie, and they were unapologetically themselves.
Right.
And it was fucking awesome.
Yes.
And I remember being like a freshman, and I was starting to do open mics at that time. And just the possibility of what it represented.
Yeah.
That palpable energy. I felt it in the movie theater most recently with Black Panther, and I felt it with Crazy Rich Asians. And it wasn't just representation matters. It's not that. It's anything is fucking possible.
Sure.
Dude, there's a character who's from fucking Singapore. And he's super Singaporean. Ronnie Chang is like, he's Chinese Malay, and he's being authentic about being Chinese Malay. I don't have to assimilate.
Yes.
I can give you full calorie me, and that can inform my art, and that art can be top shelf liquor.
Yes.
It's not like on ZTV, cable TV that like our parents watch, it's like sort of this back end. It is prime placement. And to me, Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's like a double shot of espresso of inspiration when I'm sitting in that theater.
Well, I think people underestimate the power of seeing people like you in public media.
I mean, you must have felt that when you would watch Scrubs. You're like, anything is possible.
No, you know who made me think I could be an actor? I've said this before. I was obsessed with Nicolas Cage, like early Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah.
Valley Girl. all
Early
these
90s
movies.
or like late 80s?
Late 80s.
Okay.
Late 80s, early 90s, Wild at Heart, all these movies. Because I looked at him and I was like, well, is he good looking or not? I don't know.
Sure.
He's tall. He's embracing that he's weird.
Yeah.
I think that's a lane, like that lane exists in Hollywood. That was because everyone else, like I wasn't cute like those other guys, or in my head.
You felt that way even though you dated Kate Hudson?
Well, I dated her so I could not feel that way.
Really?
Yes.
I really don't understand this.
Yeah.
You know how like in comedy there's a premise,
Sure.
not even following you on the premise,
Right. And a lot of people feel that way.
And a lot of the listeners, do you buy into this premise? I'm not buying.
No, a lot of people hate
that
it.
He doesn't believe that he's good looking.
Good-looking.
Is that the premise?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that, like I had to date Kate Hudson to validate this, and I
I dated any.
believe it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, she knows me very, very well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Monica knows.
No, I dated
pretty insecure.
any girl that I thought would elevate my status.
Oh boy.
You know, who would prove to me
subconsciously. Let's be honest. It's
Oh,
not
100%.
like you're like,
No.
who can I pick out? It's happening on a subconscious level where you're noting that this person is
high status
High
and
status.
prettier, and everyone wants to be with that girl. And if
Yeah.
I can get that girl, I would think, oh, then I am worthy of that.
Yeah.
Got
and
it.
then I do that my whole life. Again,
You can do that?
unconsciously.
I do that all the time still.
Do a date.
On a subconscious level, like that choice validate you.
Sure.
Everyone does that, I think.
Yeah.
And it took me taking it to the zenith, where like, oh my God, I'm dating a girl I saw in movies I was obsessed with.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I was
That must
waiting
be
to look
wild.
into the mirror and see some handsome dude staring back, and I look at myself like, I see the same crooked nose and
Really?
the same this and the same that. It had
It didn't
zero
change
effect.
it didn't change anything?
No, it's an inside job. The things that give you self-esteem are esteemable acts, not absorbing someone else's status. It'd be great if it worked that way.
It had to feel kind of cool, man.
Oh, initially, yes. 1,000%. So excited. Wow, that girl likes me. But I don't feel any different about Dax Shepard because I'm with her.
Got it.
I'm pumped that I'm with her, but I'm not feeling different. I feel different when I'm of service to people who need me. I'm when I work out, I feel different. When I do esteemable things, I feel different.
Yeah, I like that. Esteemable things. That's a cool thing. Is that a running theme on? Do you guys?
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot. Yeah.
Well, and because the other answer to why I have a podcast that I didn't say is that I go to AA meetings. The dynamic in that room, the vulnerability and honesty, I've seen anywhere else on the planet. And I think everyone could benefit from this.
Really?
Yeah. People
Yeah.
owning the thing I just owned. I'm trying to get status from other people.
I like the 12 steps, like the apologizing to people that you've like done wrong to.
Yeah,
in
the
past.
amends.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel this is the way I feel right now, right? I'm in this weird phase of my life where this past year, launching a show where I'm the boss. Mm-hmm. I'm the limiting factor on what the show is. It's Patriot Act with Hasan Minhaj. So it's like, it's not an ensemble thing. I have to show up because it's just the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then also I became a father. Me, Bina, we have a baby daughter now. And now I'm, the co-creator and showrunner of that
Yes.
project.
Yes.
And a feeling that I have all the time is this feeling of there's a lot of loneliness that all my time is being sucked up either in the show or in taking care of what I got to hold it down at the house.
Yes.
And now my mom and dad, my parents are getting older. My mom recently had knee surgery. I have to go back to Sacramento. I got to be at the surgery. I got to sign the paper. I got to be this
Everywhere.
thing. And this person, this Hasan from before that used to just be able to kick it for a long period of time and then go to the diner and hang out with friends and then chop it up, that person is gone.
Yes.
And now I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Well, you're
But
talking.
there is this feeling of like loneliness. Everything is great. And, Islam we call it alhamdulillah, all praise is due to God. Like alhamdulillah, like things are good in my life. My baby is healthy. My wife is healthy.
Yes.
Fortunately, my mom and dad are healthy. Her surgery went well. Everything is good.
Yes.
But man, like,
Yeah.
I can
there is
relate
no
to
time.
this so much.
And I don't know what to do about that.
Yourself.
You know what I was thinking? I was like, is this the loneliness of adulthood?
Well, I felt it firsthand 6 years ago when we had our daughter, because I was, as you say, I was at a job. I was trying to be a husband. My dad was dying because I'm like, I need something for me.
Right.
I can't just be here for everyone else. I need to have my own thing.
Right.
You go, okay, well, I deserve that and I need that. So I need to talk to my wife. Like, I need a weekend every 2 months where I go with my bros and I do whatever the fuck I do for 3 days. That's
Yeah.
okay to ask as a need. You need to carve out time for Hasan. I want to say it right. Hasan. Great.
Yeah.
You need time for Hasan.
Yeah.
And you need to learn how to state your needs in a way that's not threatening to your wife.
Sure.
But I'll ask you this. Have you found, though, that your self-esteem has gone up despite all this feeling lonely? Do you feel like after you spend that morning getting baby ready and then feeding baby, that hour and a half of not thinking about what Hasan needs is liberating?
The coolest thing was watching her. She walked for the first time. She took her first steps.
Yeah.
And I opened the door and I said, Aja, Aja, Aja. In Hindi means like, come. And she walked towards me. She's like, and her mouth was open like this. She's like, and then she started walking towards me. I was like, Aja, Aja, Aja. And she was coming towards me. And I felt like my heart was exploding. It was so cool. I felt so lucky. I just have Spike Lee tickets to her life.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be happier.
Yes.
I could not be happier. I just want to witness it.
Yes. And
I
do you have a
just
lot
wanna
of
be
fear
around
about work getting in the way of that?
Yeah.
Me too. What is your schedule on your show?
Right.
It's
so-
brutal, right?
Yeah. So, like my daughter will get up at 6:30 and my wife, this is actually to her credit. She was like, if you don't take advantage of that time, waking her up, taking that diaper off, wiping her butt, putting the new diaper on, taking her, feeding her breakfast, just washing her, playing her with her hair and all that stuff. You don't do that, it's going to go. It's going to go by fast and you're going to lose that. It's not, she won't care.
Yeah. She's not going to let you do that at
Not for her.
13.
You're going to lose that
Yeah.
and then it's going to be gone. So she was like, you need to make that a priority. And I did, and I have. But then I go to at the office like 9. Everybody at the office is, hey, Hasan, what do we want to talk about on the show? We talking about, the elections that are happening here. We talking about this. Like, what the limiting factor is my passion and my drive to storytell. What story do I want to tell?
Yes.
And that starts from the top down. That came from John, Steven, Trevor, everybody, Sam, everyone's dealing with this, right? And then she goes down. Do you want to see her before she goes down? But everybody at work is waiting for you. So there's this balance. Sometimes I run back and put her down, but sometimes I stay at the office till late. And then there's Bina, and I gotta be a husband and get your Barack and Michelle on. Like, hey, we still love each other and we're both super driven and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's all that. And there's a little bit of sadness. And it's not me wanting to be a man baby, but the days of me just kicking it and laughing there's nothing assigned to it.
We love to, as humans, I think, isolate something that's uncomfortable for us and then just project it, endlessly into the future. That I will feel this way forever, that this is going to carry on forever, that you're never going to have the time you want with your daughter or the time at work, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not true. Today you do. Today's rough.
Yeah.
And it's challenging, but that's not your life. And if you just focus, like if you keep it smaller, it helps.
If you just take
I'm going through
one morning at a time, or one task.
Yes,
at a time.
one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm going through it right now because I signed on to do a single cam show and I forgot how fucking long it takes to shoot a single cam show. And while I'm there, the first 3 weeks, I'm so miserable to be around because I'm evaluating, this is my next 7 years. I'm now going to miss from 6 years old to 13 years old. I fucked up. I got to get out of this. I can't miss the next 7 years.
Yeah.
And if the weight of everything is 7 years, if the weight of them laying dolly track and they're not doing it quickly, and I'm thinking of that's it right there, 7 years, I'm not going to see my kids. That now becomes
I'm missing middle
insufferable.
school. Yeah.
Yes. And I finally had to go like, I gotta separate this big fear I have from what's going on immediately in front of me.
So just take this.
Yes, just chill.
But family's like, there's certain feelings that I have when I'm with my family that I'm like, I want this to last forever.
Sure.
And I'll do everything I can. So Bina had this idea. My daughter just turned 1. We got her Gmail, which was a big deal. We 'cause
Sure.
She can't get her Gmail, so it's her first name, her last name at gmail.com, right? And she goes, write her a letter. Because I used to write Bina letters, right? But by hand. But she goes, she's not going to know what letters are. You write her an email. So I write her this letter. And then for the first time I wrote, love, Dad. And then I had this realization that what's really cool is I'm the only person in the world that she calls Dad.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a one of one.
Until she
And
dates
as-
R. Kelly when he
Oh,
gets back.
Did you have to kill this moment?
It was just sitting too pretty
my
for me
God.
to
But
not pick
love
up.
isn't temporary.
You know where my brain went, Dax?
Where?
You motherfucker. You know where my brain went?
Where?
My brain was, I always loved rare Air Jordans. This is the rarest of the rare.
Oh, yeah,
This is a
yeah,
one of
yeah.
one.
It is.
You know how they're like, they only made 100 pair, but for this, for her calling me dad, it is the one of one.
But there's two really valid things going on in your life, right? Have you read this book, Essentialism? Have you been recommended?
I haven't, but a bunch of people have. Okay.
It's something really useful to read if you're someone in your situation who has a lot on their shoulders and learning to really figure out when am I needed, when am I not needed, what maybes are no's and what maybes are yeses, all these kind of things. It's good.
Yeah.
You probably maybe already live that way already. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty bare bones. Like, I wish I had more time to be like, again, I love you and Chris. I have not seen The Good Place.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
I have no idea what that is. Like,
Right.
my life for the past, as I've been trying to set up Patriot Act for the past 3 to 5 years, has really been
Nonstop.
political comedy, this thing. It's been on this track of this, right? And again, it's me recognizing my privilege. There's so many people, and I'm talking about like the guys and gals that I came up with that are just fighting for a shot. I know that I got lucky, and I got to take advantage of that and do everything I can that will provide more opportunities to people that I love and people that I know and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, because of that, like, I haven't been able to, experience those things. And I do sometimes want to. I'm like, I would love to see Us. I want to.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
About that movie.
I used to go see every single movie that came out. That ended 6 years ago.
Yeah, but do you miss that time?
Fuck yes. The ArcLight is my favorite place on the planet.
So
I
how
just
did
go
you
sit there
say-
by myself?
How
with
did you say
popcorn.
R.I.P. to that thing, or like?
I just
Maybe
know.
maybe I should fucking just go to a movie alone tonight.
You should. You have to just
that'd be
make
awesome.
it a priority.
Yeah, because here's the thing. We read that book, Brain Rules for Babies, when Kristen was expecting.
Yeah.
The most important thing to me was like, what's it do to mom and dad? Well, and we had this guy, John Gottman, on, who runs the Gottman Institute. He's been studying marriage for 50 years.
Yeah.
It makes marriage worse for like 70% of people. Kids do.
Kids. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I like to know that. I'm like, oh, great. If we think this thing's just going to be additive to our life and our relationship, we're wrong. I have the statistics. So what things are causing it to diminish?
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of things. One of them is like not sharing the workload evenly, right? And things that I at least pinpointed, I was like, okay, good. I need to watch out for these because I don't want to be one of the 70%. But there's a bunch of things going on. One of them is there is a little bit of an expectation nowadays. Fathers like us in this current culture who have young kids, the expectation's a little untenable. It's a little unrealistic. It kind of assumes that like, well, who's going to work? Somebody's got to work.
Right.
There's this expectation now that the parents got to be there like 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that I think that's untenable. So I think there's one thing is like
for both.
for both people.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
wild.
Moms too.
Yeah, moms.
Oh,
too.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
It's
No.
like everybody's got to be I don't know.
Everything.
I always feel like I don't have the answer. I'm not. Am I doing enough? Am I good enough dad? Am I a good enough husband? I always feel that. I always feel like I'm chasing this thing.
Of course.
And I try to take it just day by day. Like today is Sunday. I'm just going to try to do the best I can this Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm going to FaceTime at the right time. Bees with the baby. They're back in New York. But like, yeah, I feel that guilt. Maybe she should have came out with us for a couple days. We'd have like a nice little, I don't know.
Well, but
It's always that feeling of like, all right.
But you got to let yourself off the hook a little bit.
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
I'm saying it sounds like maybe what could be beneficial to you is maybe right-sizing expectations of yourself.
Sure.
yeah.
And they could apply to both work and to home.
Yeah.
You know, you're a human. You know if you're lazy. If you've been sitting around in a fucking hammock for 4 hours, not being with your daughter or your work, you need to do some self-evaluation and get better.
Yeah.
But if you're at fucking 100% capacity all day long, every day, and you're unhappy with your performance, that tells me expectations are probably too high.
Sure. Maybe. Yeah.
You know?
Which are also imposed by society and everything. It's not just you internally, but it's up to you to be like, okay, I have to take it easy on myself a little bit.
There's an article that just made a bunch of headlines, and it was about a study that just came out about how much time and money and resources people are dedicating to children now versus every other time in history.
Okay. And what does it say?
Even working mothers, single mother working mothers are spending more time and energy and resources on their kids than 50 stay-at-home housewife moms did. This just came out. So they're doing more than unemployed housewives did in the 50s. these single moms, and they're feeling like failures. So I do think we just need to get a tiny bit realistic about what the expectation is, and not succumb to the pressure, the kind of societal pressure of like, I see it way more on moms than dads. You got to say,
Yes.
when I go on a red carpet line and I'm next to Kristen, she's two interviews up, I can hear every single question to her is, how do you do it? How do you have 2 kids and have this career?
Oh, God.
They don't ask dad that, but there's always a subversive, you can't be
Dax,
a mom
how do you
and
feel
work.
as a dad? What grade do you give yourself?
An A. It's the
Really?
thing I think I do the
God
best in the
damn.
world.
What do you, Monica? what
I
grade
would
do you-
give him an A.
He's an A?
A plus probably.
Oh,
Man,
thank
Those
you.
kids
Man.
have really, really good parents.
Really?
Yeah, coming from
Man,
both
I'm really
ends.
afraid of, my wife really wants to move back here. I'm genuinely really afraid. of
Tell
being-
me,
Really? Yeah.
Hollywood is a very, very, very
dicey.
dicey and scary
Toxic.
place. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be though.
Well, let's go through your fears. You're afraid that they'll be image obsessed,
Yes.
status obsessed,
Yes.
weight obsessed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
And I'm not saying that like being in the suburbs of New Jersey or upstate New York is going to save that. I will say that the thing that I've loved about living in New York for the past 5 years is just we're all on top of each other for better, for worse. And I love the substance of what everyone is hustling to do. It is the journalism empire of the world, finance, media, all of those things. But everyone's really like, even the dude who's trying to sell you a bagel on the corner of 42nd and 8th is like, I'm trying to sell you the best
the
fucking
most
bagel.
bagels. Yeah,
and
sure.
I love the soul of what that means.
Uh-huh.
I don't look, the grind is very toxic. We're on this 8-mile garbage island trying to just like climb over each other. But that idea of, the halal guys at 53rd and 6th competing with the other halal guys across the street, them saying ours is the best halal car. I love the essence of that, and I want to show that to my daughter. And it's also just to own this, like to go back, like it represents things to me.
So that's
And
the other thing I
honestly,
was going to say is my last week of drinking was in Kauai.
Yeah.
I think Kauai is a fucking toilet.
Yeah.
Kauai is not a toilet.
Yeah, I love
For
Hawaii.
me,
Hawaii's
I
one of my
almost
favorite
yes, but for
yeah.
me, that's the only island I will
And
never
what it-
go
and
back
what
to.
it represents, yeah.
Yes, that was like my darkest week ever.
Now, if
And-
Kristen's like, we got to go to Kauai, are you gonna?
oh, I'll go. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. She's running the show. I had my way long enough.
Got it.
But or Santa Monica. I despise Santa Monica.
Yeah.
But I have to acknowledge this because I was 10 years unemployed in Santa Monica. So when I drive through there, it
represents the
Yes,
thing,
it
yeah.
really is my baggage.
But you don't feel like when I go drive by places, I feel so good. I'm like, oh my God, I remember what it felt like when I lived there. Now I'm here. And you can maybe reframe as, look how far I've come.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm going to be able to do this experience in the way I had
come
always
back.
wanted to,
Sure. Sure.
with like driving the train instead of
Sure.
the caboose.
Perhaps.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Do you have that fantasy? I have the Dave Chappelle "Fuck You Hollywood." I have the Farm in Ohio fantasy. I tell Bina this all the time. I'm like, we're going to Montana.
Sure. Yeah, but then I'll ask myself, like, why? Why is that appealing? Is it that place, or is it I just don't want to be accountable to anyone?
Do you know what it represents? You know when you have your iPhone open and you do the swipe up to just get rid of the Safari window and the Yelp window and the blah blah. It represents the swipe up. Get this out of here. Get these fucking billboards out of my fucking face. Get this nonsense out. Get this nonsense. Just essentialism. Let's clear it out.
Sure.
It really is just about our home, the yard, the blah blah blah.
Also, have you done any experimentation? Have you spent an extended period of time?
Yeah,
You have?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Like we went upstate, and I loved it.
For how long?
I mean, it was only like 4 days.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but I'm pretty simple, man. I'm pretty simple. I'm like my dad. Like my dad is very, very simple. Like I could just sit in a living room twiddling my toes. And
he is or was a chemist?
he retired. He was a chemist.
And what kind of chemical engineering did he
Organic chemistry.
do? Organic chemistry.
Yeah.
And did he make a good living?
Civil engineering, right? Your father?
Yeah.
Yeah. He made a good living.
He knows his shit on
Yeah.
Monica.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to hear more of you in the front end of the show, not the back end.
Thank
of
you
the
for
show.
saying that.
Yeah.
That's nice to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come in.
I just don't want to interrupt.
No. Get CC'd on this email. Don't BCC your way through an interview.
Well, a lot of it boils down to, in all honesty, if you've not listened to the show, you know me. You don't know Monica as a part of the show, so it's kind of a surprise when you sit down. So, you know.
Right.
Whereas, if you go to Stern, everyone knows Stern. You know Robin.
Right.
You're going to
Yeah.
talk to Robin. It's just a matter of like,
interesting.
yes. I want to talk about your show though because I'm a big fan of it.
Thank you, man.
Really.
Thanks, man.
We've had other. Should we let him in on one of our debates we had
What's the
about
debate?
his stand up?
Okay, what's the debate?
What is it?
Yeah.
So she and I have tons, and I have grown way more towards her than she's grown towards me, which is the right thing.
Okay.
Because I'm older than you. I'm 44.
Sure.
I grew up watching a certain kind of comedy.
Sure.
I've been a part of a certain kind of comedy. I think it's funny to point out funny things about different groups of people.
Yes.
I still have enjoyed that.
Right.
And like when we watched your special together, it was her 9th time watching it. My first time, I was like, that fucking Toyota Corolla joke or Camry. The Camry
dog.
joke is so great.
Yes.
And it's something I've 1,000% noticed.
Yes.
And I said to Monica, why is it fine for him to point it out and not me to point it out? Tell me why it's not still a good joke if I point it out. And we've had hours of debate, loving, friendly debate
Yeah, sure.
about why it's funny if you say it, not funny if I say it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's it's fertile ground for debate.
Oh yeah, I mean this is like a comedy philosophy long debate. Yeah. And as a comic, like and sometimes people look to me, they're just like, you side with this, right? It's like, look, man, I respect all these differences of opinion. I totally understand it. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
I understand both sides of the argument. I understand the side of the argument that's like, hey, let the authors of their own experience tell that story. That's what makes it really funny. That's what makes it really biting and cutting and authentic. And I also understand the perspective of just like, hey, we're comedians. We're mining everything.
Everyone's getting
for
blasted.
jokes.
I'm sorry. Everyone's getting blasted.
Yeah.
That's where I come from. I'm making fun of everyone's getting splattered.
Sure.
And I also recognize that I'm a part of the hegemonic fucking group in this country, and
also,
it's different.
And also, look, these boundaries are defined by the first yard line, the first down, you know, where that stick is. That's changing.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that, by the way, that changes over time, and it will continue to change over time.
Yes.
These are like just socially accepted rules that will change. They're going to change in 10 years when you're 54 and I'm 43. It's going to change in 20. It's just going to keep changing. I think it's a case-by-case scenario, and context does matter. And that's the thing where, have you ever seen just comedians that are like 20 or 30 years older than us, and you watch them and you go, eesh.
Yeah, 100%.
And Dax, what makes you go, eesh? The eesh is, bro, do you not acknowledge context?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so to me, it's just like, hey, this is going to keep evolving and changing. If I want to be a relevant artist, you got to keep evolving and changing.
Also, you're here now.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yes.
I don't have to make the joke about the Camry because you're going to make it.
Right.
Exactly.
It needed to be made.
That's true.
And there was no voice to make it.
True.
But you're here now. So
Now
a
we're
lot
here.
of the thoughts I have are things I think I would have normally tried to tackle in comedy. I go, oh no, Chappelle's doing it.
There's a perspective that like
it's getting out there. It
that's
doesn't have to
very-
be me. There's
yeah.
something comforting about knowing like it'll still get observed out loud.
Yes.
And I don't have to do it.
Your fear that this is killing the art form.
It's comforting to know that you're here, you're making those observations. I don't need to. It's being said.
Yeah.
Somehow that's comforting to me.
That's great.
Because everyone needs to get bullseyed a little bit.
A little bit, sure. Why not?
Now, hip hop, this could be another fun thing.
What's that?
Tell me, do you have a theory on why Indian kids are really drawn to the
I have
hip hop?
no idea.
Do you have a theory?
So my theory is that the themes of it speak to what we went through growing up. So the feeling of like, number one, you're an outsider. Number two, like the immigrant story is aspirational. Hip hop is aspirational.
Yes.
We started from this, we're making it to this.
Yeah.
And then number three, like just the straight up bravado of it.
Yeah,
Of just like, you say I'm not shit, I am the shit, and I'm going to prove you wrong.
So I agree.
Those three elements are so different than country or other genres of music.
There's also an implicit, they're succeeding despite the system.
Yes.
Which is really, again,
Yes.
aspirational.
Yes. And so like I tapped into that big time.
Now, so I'm curious, the bravado thing, do you think it's a result at all of feeling emasculated by the hegemonic jock culture in a high school, like the white hegemonic jock culture?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It just spoke to me so much more than Blink 182.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's the oomph of it.
Who's your favorite rapper?
All time?
Yes.
So like my all time probably in terms of hip hop icon is probably Tupac for what he represented.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And then in terms of pure rapper and storyteller, Notorious B.I.G. But my current all time, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I'm a Jay-Z fan.
Okay, me too. So, okay, great.
But what he had in terms of just body of work. He has big radio records. He has big mainstream records. Like you can go into a club and you hear girls going, New York. Like he has songs like that.
Yes.
Empire State of Mind. And he has like real sort of like hip hop songs that hip hop heads love. He has the full gamut.
Yes.
But he also lived long enough to be great.
Yes, that's true.
Have you guys heard of like the idea of like flow?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
There's certain I'm really big on if you get into a creative flow, do not stop.
Yes, I'm
Do
with
not
you.
interrupt it for anything. Ding dong, Seamless is here. Fuck Seamless.
Yes.
Like we are in the zone.
I agree. It's the most elusive,
Stay in the pocket.
valuable.
And to me, like I am constantly chasing that. Whatever I can do to tap into that place,
Yes.
it's heaven.
Do you have any hobbies that induce flow
that
for
induce
you?
flow. Playing basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, I love playing basketball.
You're playing what, small forward generally? Or three guard?
I'm playing shooting guard. Number
Okay.
two. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
number two.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm at also at this point in my life where I'm not trying to get injured. I'm here for high fives and butt slaps.
Sure.
Keep me on the perimeter. I've been
Okay.
playing. I've been playing like the Warriors for years. You used to call it soft. Now you call it championship basketball.
That's right.
So
I'm so
I've
glad
been
they vindicated you.
Yeah, they really have. Yeah. Me and my buddies all back home in Sacramento have been like, hey man, we were doing this for a long time.
Sure.
Go inside, and it's like, dude, Varun's not going inside. We're launching. So basketball, but also there is something really amazing about getting a group of people together. Again, it's your sort of entrusted group of Jedis that you really respect, getting them together and then getting the espresso to that right point in your brain. And if you're riffing in that moment, like I'll hit record on voice notes where if we're really
Found something.
if we found something,
Yeah.
I'm like, let's keep going and let's keep pushing on this.
Yeah.
And what I realized, the most important thing is it's actually the take. And if we're going and me and you are riffing on something and I go, that take is fucking incredible. I'll hit record and then I go, let's go. Let's start just doing, it's called joke TK, joke to come. Let's joke TK this right now. And then tag it again and tag it again and tag it again. And then I'll hit end record. That moment, I don't know what they call it.
Yeah.
That's magic, man.
Yeah.
That's like what Jay-Z talks about in Fade to Black. You leave the door open, God walks in the room. I don't know what that is.
Well, yeah.
But I'm chasing that.
Well, now, because I really want to drive home your show because I really, really genuinely like it.
It does mean a lot. I know that people have like they got kids, my boyfriend's girlfriend, they have stuff to do, job. How do I take esoteric topics and distill it into comedy espresso? That was like a huge goal of the show. And to make it visually beautiful and interesting. Like the design, our graphics team and our news team, they're both top notch.
Yes.
Our researchers are killer.
It's very well produced. show.
Yeah.
Well, here's the compliment I'm going to give you that in our house, we call last week tonight church.
Wow.
As Monica will confirm.
That's incredible.
On Sundays we watch church. That for us is the best show on the planet. Do you watch Last Week Tonight?
Of course, yeah.
It's incredible, right?
It's incredible.
I'm going to say your show is like knocking on the back door of that show. It's that well done, and it's that
Wow.
well, you can tell the writing is
That
there.
means a lot, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And so it's in that realm. And if people like Last Week Tonight, I think they would really, really love your show. I like it for that reason. And now, just tell me, because you guys both come from the
Daily
Jon
Show,
Stewart
yes.
Daily. What were
That
they?
sort of DNA.
What paradigm did they break or create? That they taught you something there, huh?
Yes.
What is it?
Take is more important than joke. It's the most.
Take-
So what I mean by that is, what's the thesis statement of your piece? And generally, that may or may not even be funny.
Right. Yeah.
I'll give you the secret sauce right now.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Can I take my pants off?
Take it off. Okay. For example, our Amazon antitrust episode. Amazon has become so big, I need the government to come in and save me from myself. That's the whole piece.
Right.
Okay?
That's pretty good.
You don't need to go home. I saved you 26 minutes. Here it is. It's a sentence. Take it for free.
Right.
Yeah. Supreme. The take of the Supreme piece is, what is the intrinsic value of hype? And the intrinsic value of hype is absolutely determined based on supply and demand. That is it. Yeah. We're building the whole episode around that.
Right.
And whichever writer, researcher, news person, whenever we're in the room, I go, yeah, that's great. There's a joke here. So-and-so did this gaffe. This person has funny hair. What's the take?
Well, you know
What is the one
yeah.
sentence summary of the whole thing? Our first episode, affirmative action. The Asians suing Harvard. What's the take? This one's funny. Really, Asians? This is the hill we're going to die on?
yes.
That's
yes,
it.
Yes,
That's
yes,
it.
yes.
It was once, and then our
Yes.
showrunner is like, yeah, that's the episode.
Yeah.
Our entire lives we've gotten shat on. You smell like Korean kimchi. You're a small driver. You have small dicks. Nothing. The moment we can't get into Harvard, I'll see you in court, motherfucker. That's it.
Yeah.
You do that, and if anyone is an aspiring writer or person who wants to work in comedy, you do that. You go into any room, you will be one of the most successful people in this business. Period.
Yeah.
Every person, whether you're at SNL, Daily Show, any of these shows, a writer's room for even like a sitcom or scripted show, any person that brings that to the table in a writer's room of 15 people, oh, you're going to the fucking top. Because ideas are really the best ideas are the things that give the showrunner and the creators of the show the most amount of ease. They're dying.
Yes.
They're dying to, give me the take that will save this.
Right.
This is what excites me, is like the soccer ball of discourse usually gets passed back and forth laterally. Trump bad, bad Trump, Trump bad, Trump. Okay, AOC cool, AOC is cool. Like, you just see it sort of being retweeted on Instagram and Twitter, just the same sort of talking points and gaffes and jokes.
Yes.
I love, the thing that gets me excited is when you push that ball forward and you go, oh shit, we're going here. You know,
Right.
No one has criticized the incumbent party in India. Fuck it, let's go.
Uh-huh.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
You move the discourse forward. Oliver's show is at its best when it does that, and our show, I think, is at its best when it does that. Is the two things is number one, oh my God, thank you for saying that. And since we're an international show, there's so many people from around the world that go, oh my God, thank you for talking about the elections in Thailand. Because there's hundreds of millions of people that are experiencing these things that in America, our viewpoint is very myopic.
Sure,
there's
sure.
like three things that we're talking about at once, and that's it.
Generally one, but
Yeah. Oh my God, thank you for talking about that. Or number two, how have I been just living my life not knowing that?
Yes, that's
How
a
did I
great
not know that? I love giving that to people.
Yes.
It's my greatest joy.
Yeah.
And I always want that emotional feeling to be in my work.
Yeah, you're right. You have
Yeah.
gratitude. Like, oh my God, thanks for opening my
Yeah.
eyes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oliver does that supremely. Yeah.
Incredibly well.
Like, what they're going to tell me about fucking clairvoyance?
Yeah.
Why do we need to talk about clairvoyance? And I'm like,
Totally.
oh my God, these
How
people
did I
are
know that?
bonkers.
Out
They
of their fucking mind.
Fucking, yeah.
And the funnest part is when you push something in the world and it pushes you back. That was fun. Like when we did our Saudi Arabia episode, we pushed something and then the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia takes it down. Or
I was wondering what
It's
the
like,
fallout
it's like,
from
it's
that
like
was.
boom, boom, right? Or you do something where like, hey, watch what happens when you control supply and demand. So we did this thing on Supreme and we released these limited
Fake.
Supreme,
Yeah,
Supreme
yeah.
sweatshirts and hoodies. They all got sold out and then they immediately hit the resale market at 1,000% value.
Yes.
It's literally the thing that I'm like, watch what happens when you control supply and demand. We're going to release this. Like, you push something in the world, it pushes back. I love that on the show.
And that's, again, another fun thing that happens on Oliver.
Yeah,
on Oliver all the
totally.
time is like all of a sudden you have these countries responding to him.
Yeah,
And it always like
yeah.
feels like, why are they even dignifying that show with a response?
Yeah.
But then they
That-
have
that
to.
me
That's
is really
fun.
It's really fun.
Absolutely. That has to be so
The
rewarding.
thing that I'm going to try to lean more into as we continue to do the show is there's always been this dance between just like comedy and journalism. Like what are we doing? And sort of the position has always been like, hey, we're just a comedy show.
Right.
But there are these certain moments where it's like, we're breaking news, man. We are the news.
Yes.
And so we're starting to do on the show, and we're leaning into this more, is like breaking news through primary source reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is this new ocean where I'm just excited to dive into it, man. I don't know what's going to come from it. We're
Yeah.
probably going to get sued more, but
Sure.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many episodes a year are you tasked
we
to
almost
do?
we almost drop like little podcasts. So like every cycle we'll do 6 or 7. Then we'll take 4 to 6 weeks to write the next batch because I have to go into the field. I got to
Yeah.
go interview. And so we'll do about 20 to 24 per calendar year.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's the hardest
Yeah.
I've worked in my life.
And hopefully you'll somehow figure out how to, I think the hardest thing, I don't know if it is hard for you, but to entrust people.
Yeah.
It took me, like
So
Monica.
hard.
And Monica is one of the first human beings where I'm like, yes, go edit the show. I'm such a control freak, but I'm like, I believe that we have the same opinion on what this show should be.
Really?
Go do it. But I couldn't have done that 6 years ago. It's like comes with age. It took me till 43 to delegate something that's so important to me, but it can happen. And it's like if you maybe, let's say you spend 60 hours a week doing this thing.
Yeah.
If you spent 30 hours for 2 weeks finding someone who you really could delegate certain things to, I think that's the kind of crack the code where you could have a hard job, but not an all-consuming job.
Yeah.
Because somehow these folks, the older folks, they figure out how to do it eventually.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and it works.
How do these moguls do it? Or are they just running on a whole nother?
Conventional wisdom is that they must be overseeing every single thing. That's why companies get great or are not great, right? That's the kind of Apple Steve Jobs myth, is that like he's got to be in every. But then I have to imagine that's just not true. That some people are. The best book I could ever recommend to anyone to read, you should read. If you read Titan,
No.
the John D. Rockefeller biography,
Okay.
best biography I've ever read in my life.
Titan.
Okay, this
so I
motherfucker
gotta-
took naps every single day. There's never been a more successful human being than him.
Right.
And he had dudes he trusted. He had a couch. They had a conference table where they had their meetings, but he had a couch, and he'd doze in and out. He'd take his naps. He'd wake up. He'd like have a high level thought, throw it on the table, go back to sleep. Like he was not a control freak, weirdly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the things he thought of and did are incredible.
I think, you just have to find people that you feel like share your brain, which is very hard to find.
How long did you guys know each other? 6 years? 5, 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our friendship was forged in fighting about Adnan.
Did you like cereal?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we were obsessed with it, and we got in big fights about it.
What is it about murder documentaries that we really like tapping into? Why do we like this so much? Because there's also this philosophical part of me that's just like, hey, there's real people here.
Yes, the characters in this story really have parents.
This isn't Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
This is like, if the Lannisters die. No, this is a person who's in prison for life. Like, I go through this weird thing and I go, what is it about us?
Well,
we love this.
I read a book that I believe this theory. The book's called On Killing. It's written by a professor at Annapolis who was also in Vietnam. Really interesting guy, psychologist. His theory is that we used to, 100 years ago, Grandma and Grandpa died in your house. You buried Grandma and Grandpa in the backyard. You also processed chickens. You processed cows. You had all this intimate experience with death.
Yeah.
Firsthand. You watched everyone in your family die.
Yeah.
And as we've removed that experience from our lives, we have become obsessed with it because we have no personal understanding of it. And that has led to a perverse obsession with it. I think that. I buy that theory.
And then why that and then sex? That's a big thing.
So he started by saying the history of sex, we've been here 150,000 years. We've only been living in separate bedrooms for the last 10,000. So for 140,000 years, you lived in one room with mom and dad. You heard them fuck. You saw them fuck. You saw an aunt and uncle fuck. You were around fucking all the time. You had a very personal relationship with sex, the noises, the everything. Soon as people start living in multi-room homes and children are separated from that whole thing, you start seeing a spike of all these weird proclivities. You see sex crimes. You see all these things documented where in the absence of firsthand knowledge, we start filling in the blanks. And that's where the perversions come from. And I buy into that.
What do you think, Monica?
I think all of that holds water. I think the murder stuff also could be that we feel a little bit better about our lives when we hear horrible things about other people's lives, which is upsetting.
What I don't understand is, totally hear you, but how is it a soothing thing that people are coming home to? Whereas like when people go, hey, your show's pretty divisive, man. You're talking about politics.
Yeah.
And I go, no one's getting fucking murdered right in front of you. Buddy of mine, his name's Rami Youssef. He has a show coming out on Hulu called Rami. I got to see it early. It's going to be great, you guys. Anybody who's listening, this show's amazing. He told me something candidly. He goes, every show that really pops has either fucking or killing in it. Every show. Any show that lowers those stakes, it's very difficult to
break through.
It's why a thing like Seinfeld is such a unique and beautiful like anomaly. And I go, what is it about that? And he goes, I think it's just the visceralness of it. We want to feel something. And like when you talk about stakes, sex and murder are the two highest sort of physical stakes you can have.
Yeah.
I think we just love to watch our fears get played out.
Really?
I think to get our mirror neurons popping, you got to see someone fall, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to fall in front of everyone. Like I just feel like it takes. We're pretty you know,
I know that works
just
for I know
blasted.
that works for comedy. When you're self-deprecating, you make fun of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'll pants myself.
Yes.
You know, we've all been afraid of being pants, but I'll pants myself. And
Yes.
it is a very, I think, endearing thing.
Uh-huh. And comforting and attainable.
Yeah.
We can all get pantsed.
I've seen that. Like, only my friends would come to my open mics when I first started, but I noticed that, like, if I told a story that I manipulated something that happened to my other friend, and I told that, like, oh, this thing happened to me and blah, 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 and I owned it versus, like, my friend, this happened.
Yes.
The audience was like, hey, man, we're with you.
Yep.
Like,
100%.
we get it. I've been pants before in front of my high school crush. I get it.
You're a big fallible human being, and I am too, and now I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Hasan, I want to congratulate you. You're the first guest that has succeeded in not letting me talk about his childhood. So I just want to...
Are you serious?
Yes, all I talk about is childhood.
That's true.
Yeah, so
I
I
didn't
just...
even notice.
Yeah.
People should just watch the special if they haven't.
They
watched
really
it.
should.
They probably
Yeah.
already have.
But you know what, Dax? The reason why I wanted to do that is I didn't want to redo any other.
Oh, yeah,
sort
yeah.
of like
I'm fine.
stories that- yeah.
I'm fine. I just... there was
Was
one
there something
thing...
from your childhood that you wanted to talk about?
Well, there's something from your childhood that I find so
Sure,
unique and
hit me.
fascinating. And it's not the immigrant stuff.
Sure,
It's
hit
the
me.
mom disappeared for 8 years.
Sure.
I just find like that to me. I just can't imagine that wouldn't have a lot of downstream things.
Sure.
It's just a very unique thing.
Yeah.
So my mom disappeared, but it was like, work. We need money. That's number one. Then we can all have this. And I imagine that's under the same, like, mom needs to become a doctor. So
Yeah.
was that how it was pitched?
It was more of, and I'm very lucky because my mom was very much in my life. You know, she did her residency in New York, then she moved to Stockton, then from Stockton, then we were all together in Davis. So she was a great mom, and I think my mom doesn't get enough credit for being the leader of our house. She really was the leader, and I
Right.
think I've had conversations with my dad about this. I'm like, Dad, you got to give mom props. And my sister has even told me this too. She's like, do you know what mom did to make this all sort of happen?
Right.
Her vision to see stuff 10, 15, 20 years later
Yeah.
is the reason why I don't have student loan debt. You don't have student loan debt. There's all these things that she laid out, like the mogul and titan that she was,
Yeah.
that I didn't fully understand until I was like 15, 16, 17. I'm like, oh, right. Like, mom's a gangster.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I do kind of, to go back to maybe your theory, I do kind of respect that about my wife.
She's kind of
like
a
that too.
gangster.
Yeah.
Good.
Her
We're
setting up-
better off. We need someone to fucking run the show. We're not to be,
Yeah,
someone's got to wield it over us a little bit.
yeah.
I think it's healthy.
Yeah.
Well, you're gorgeous and you're just a lovely human being. I'm so glad this finally happened.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Dude, this
You're
was
so
awesome.
fun. Please
Thanks
come back.
so
Thanks,
much.
Monica. Bye.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman. I'm gonna take my house down the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can no more. That song has nothing to do with fact checks, but I just introduced that song to Monica
Yeah.
and Wobby Wob. We've been infected by it, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a good one. I like it.
How many times do you think you'll listen to it today?
3.
3 times.
Yeah, I would say 3 times.
Okay, and if people haven't heard it, I think legally I can't play a lot of it, but that's the song. And you know what I like about the video, Monica?
Tell me.
Well, they cut to Will Smith in that beautiful white cowboy outfit, and he is dancing his ass off.
Yeah, he's a good dancer.
He looks really cool. He's a cool dude in a loose mood.
He is swag.
Yeah,
Swagger.
He does. And you know, he doesn't try to play it too cool because he's still goofy, Will Smith. Now we've transitioned into Will Smith, not Billy Ray Cyrus or Lil Nas.
Little Nas.
Did I say it wrong? Lil Nas?
Yeah.
Okay. You just learned about the song. You're already correcting me.
Well,
this is very typical.
I know about rappers, okay? I'm from the ATL.
Okay.
Okay.
Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Goofy.
But
So
that's part of it. That swagger requires a little bit of that.
I guess what I'm saying is like Elvis Presley had swagger, but he was never like cutting up. You know, he had to maintain the image, or James Dean, right? Or
yeah, James Dean, no, he was very serious.
Yeah, or Denzel Washington, you know.
Oh, true.
So what I'm saying is Will keeps it pretty corny in the best way imaginable.
Sure.
Yet still pulling off sexiness and coolness.
Yeah.
Well, he's got that great frame.
It's that. It's his body. Yeah, he's got a big body.
He's got a big, beautiful body on him.
He does.
Will Smith, if you're listening, please bring that big, beautiful body up to the
I'd
attic.
like to see it in person.
I feel like he and I have the same frame.
Oh, interesting.
What do you think? Not that mine is big and beautiful, but With that said, I think our endoskeleton is, you would not be able to pick out the difference on, if both of our skeletons were hanging on a hanger, you would have no idea which one was Bill Smith and which one was Dan Shepard.
I think they're probably similar, yeah. But I think
I think he's 6'2".
I think they're different enough. You know what's the difference?
His skin color?
Well, that's a difference, but on a skeleton, I wouldn't be able to tell that.
That's true, unless some of it was left.
Actually, on a skeleton, I wouldn't really be able to tell this either. But I do think that, okay, if you start at his shoulders, okay, no. He's facing, he's in a profile.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If you put your hands on the opposite side of his shoulder, one hand on each, does that make any sense?
Sure.
Not really.
Yeah. The width of his shoulders?
Like if I was standing here and I put one hand here and one hand here, if I was doing this,
okay,
how do I describe that?
The depth of the shoulder.
Okay, sort of. I'm just saying if I put my hands on his shoulders and I go all the way down with my hands, but he's at profile, I think he's the same. I feel like he's like a box.
Right. He'd be like a perfect rectangle.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thin.
Uniform depth.
Yeah.
And me, you think it would be what?
I think you start a little wider.
Top heavy.
You get a little skinnier.
I don't have
bottom.
the legs or ass. Yeah. But I don't know that our femurs are much different size, or our ilium or ischium.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know about
We'll see
that.
when we're dead. You'll be here.
I'll be here when you're dead.
Long after Will Smith and I are here. Maybe you can exhume our skeletons.
Maybe when he comes, we'll kill you guys.
Ooh, could we get Dr. Topol to do a scan of us?
That'd be great.
And do a 3D imaging of our endos? Anyways, Will Smith, boy, we're big fans.
We love Will Smith, Willie.
Big Willie.
I really liked him on the Magic Show documentary.
Oh, yes.
Billy, David Blaine.
Was he on David Blaine's? Yes, he
Yes.
was. He and Jada and the kids, right?
Yes, and it was so sweet. And they were all so cute as a little family.
Yeah, he seems like the funnest dad on the planet. He's so supportive, too, of those kids.
Yeah.
Or he's great at just curating that image for me because it's working.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, he's a real person. There's more to
probably
it.
bipolar.
No.
Yeah, they probably find. Oh, by the way, two things. One, there was an article in this women's study journal I read yesterday. They're looking into fecal transplants for bipolar.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they're finding that they have different microbes, or not. They don't have the right microbes. Wouldn't that be fascinating if poop had been the answer from day one?
I know.
That would justify my
poop obsession.
Yes, me and Aaron Weekly. Did I show you? So when you do a talk show, you do a pre-interview like a day before, right? And then when you get to the talk show, in this case it was Conan, they've printed out pretty much what you talked to the pre-interviewer on the phone about. And so when they handed me the piece of paper so I could glance at what stories we were going to tell, in her notes she wrote this. I was discussing the ball sack cowboy painting that you have in your house.
Okay.
And this is a quote from me. My best friend Harry Winkley and I became friends over a drawing. Harry Winkley.
Yeah.
So I sent that to Aaron Weekly, and he said he's going to legally change his name tomorrow morning to Harry Winkley.
Your best friend, Harry Winkley.
Harry Winkley.
It's like a telephone game, The more people who hear it, the less it resembles the original thing.
That's exactly it. And then one other thing. You thought my invention was so silly.
No, I did not. But also really quick, Aaron probably deserves this because of Terrence Posner. It's all coming back around.
You're absolutely right. And we used to call him Sharon Beakley a lot. Like my group of friends called him Sharon Beakley all the time.
Okay, so your invention.
Okay, my invention that you scoffed at turns out already exists.
The birth control or the other one?
Nope. Through high-frequency chest wall oscillation technology, the vest airway clearance system dislodges mucus from the bronchial walls and mobilizes secretions and mucus from the smaller to larger airways, where it can be cleared by coughing or suctioning.
How does it suction?
Well, you'd probably have to put a tube down there if you were a physician.
That
but
sounds
there's
intense.
already a vibration mucus dislodger.
That's great.
So I was onto something. This is called the vest.
Okay. I guess my
Okay.
my main, You can't have an invention and then start an invention and then expect everyone to just say, "Oh, it's great. Don't you want me to poke holes?" I mean, if I made an invention, you'd be just laundry listing things that I could better.
It depends. If the invention was a great idea, I would first be excited for you for that breakthrough in thinking. And then I might ask some follow-up, research and design questions just to help you kind of refine your invention. But I feel like if you invented something substantial like I did last week and it was already in the marketplace,
Well, my point was how many people are going to be using this invention. And I think I'm still onto something here because this is a real invention that we don't know about. So it's not prevalent enough that people are using it. You have this issue and you don't even know about it.
Well, now I do.
Are you going to get one?
But I just wanted you to be impressed that I had thought of a solution to this that actually was a solution. I guess that's all I was
am
looking
impressed.
for. Okay. I think I'm going to buy this, assuming
Yeah.
it's not like a $80,000 medical device.
Yeah.
Although the fact that it said suctioning makes me think this is for doctor's offices
Hospitals.
only. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what a better solution than a bunch of medicine.
Yeah, I agree.
Just use good old Mother Nature's sound waves.
I wonder if it'd be hard to sleep.
I don't
in
know
a
that you.
vest like that.
I don't think you sleep in.
Oh,
it.
your invention was for sleeping.
No.
You said it. We'll go back. We can
Okay,
check the
rewind
tapes. But I promise you said you sleep on it. You sleep with it on your chest, and then in the morning, then you're clear.
I can't wait to rewind the tapes.
Me either. We might have to go back to the original tapes because I don't remember what I cut.
Okay.
Hasan fact check.
Hasan fact check.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was.
he really stuck up for me.
Oh, he loved you. Yep.
I said stuck. That's not a word.
No, but you can always change tenses here. I'm a big fan of Sakame,
Right.
cicada. Yeah. What is it? Dicey.
Wait, what?
The southeast.
Oh, Desi.
Yeah, he had a lot of Desi pride,
Yeah,
appropriately so, with you.
he did.
And you were his Desi sister, and he was looking out,
He was.
and I
He
liked
was.
it.
Yeah, me too.
I almost
It's
punched
nice.
him out a couple times. And I was like, that's,
Why?
I stick up for her, not you,
Oh,
partner.
boy. Okay,
Yeah,
well.
you've just wandered into the wrong territory.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
He was
well,
like a big Savannah cat sniffing around here.
No.
I was like, look at this mane. I'm 44. You see the width of it?
Wow.
You didn't know all that
There's
was
a
happening?
lot of stuff happening in your brain. Okay, I did not know. Plenty of people can protect at once.
Well, all right. I think
Also,
the
no one
subtext,
needs protection.
the subtext was I wasn't doing a good job protecting you, so he had to come in here from another pride.
Oh, this is
Surprised he
so
didn't kill
your
Rob.
brain.
I'm surprised he didn't kill Wobby Wob, our offspring, so that you would become fertile again.
Oh.
You know that's what the males do?
Oh, wow.
If they overthrow the alpha lion, they quickly kill all the cubs
Oh.
so that the female will go into estrus again and he can have some of his own.
Oh,
Isn't that
my goodness. He didn't want a piece. He just
Oh,
was.
don't fool yourself.
He did not. He was
little
just.
lady.
He just wanted me to speak up.
He loves that Desi. I'm so new to it.
No, I think that's right.
Okay, Desi. Yeah.
I think, to be honest, it's a new word for me too. And I don't know if it's a new word.
Yeah, it feels like a new word.
It feels new because I'm just now hearing it.
and it's short.
Hasan said it. Mindy has said it a
Mindy.
couple of times. Speaking of that can be our first fact. Because you mentioned that Mindy on Fresh Air, her interview, you wanted a little bit more her talking about her Indian culture. Yeah. And her background and stuff like that, because you felt like she really broke a barrier and she should acknowledge that. So Mindy is doing so much currently for the Indian community.
Yeah.
And is being really vocal about her connection to it. And, she has this show for Netflix and she put out like a casting call.
15,000 people.
Isn't that
submitted.
exciting?
Yeah, it is.
Casting call to all the Indian peeps. And I'm so devastated that
That
I
you're not.
cannot. I'm ineligible for this
Well,
role.
by choice.
No.
Yeah. You said you can't do the accent, and I said, well, let me teach you. And you said, no.
Oh, well, no.
Oh, okay.
The part is for a teenager.
You could play a teen.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, you'd have to duct tape your fat cheese down.
No, they existed back then.
At what age?
Teenager for sure.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
You think these came at adult? No, they come at puberty.
Well, they're very adult, so yeah, I assume they came in adulthood.
That's not how the female
You're saying
body
you were
works.
when you were 14, you had those?
When I hit puberty, they came in, yeah.
You're lucky you weren't up in Michigan. You would have had to leave school in 8th grade because you were pregnant.
Oh, God.
Yeah, some 30-year-old man would have been hitting on you,
That's
smoking his Marlboro
horrifying.
cigarettes.
That sounds a little rapey.
I'm just saying, a couple different girls left my 8th grade.
Because of their
'Cause of it.
matchies?
Well, they were pregnant.
Not by 30-year-olds.
No, but not by 12-year-olds. They were,
By-
19-year-old dudes. Yeah.
Are they in jail?
No, I say this with love. There was a white trash contingency, and I was in and out of that contingency, and it was not uncommon for an 8th grader to become pregnant by an older white trash man.
But still illegal.
Yeah.
And no one just cared, I guess.
Well, there's things that are laws, and then they're just unenforced, depending on the culture of that area.
That's true.
It's kind of like the feuds in Kentucky. Those people would stand trial and then completely get off. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, if someone kills your brother, you could like."
Right.
There's a long history of them just going like, "Oh, we're going to interpret these laws how we want."
Do you think the dads stuck around?
I do not, Monica.
Did they stook around?
I think half of them didn't even make it to their 30s, and then But what do I know? So maybe some of them were
This
great
is a
dads.
sad story.
Also, we were talking about Indians, and I steered it right into white trash.
But anyway, so Mindy is really doing a lot.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Was I clear, though, that like I 1,000,000% understand why she doesn't want that to be the topic?
Yeah.
I was just saying, me personally, I was very interested in that aspect of the
Yeah,
story.
of course.
Yeah.
And we just don't know what was happening in that interview. Who knows? It might not have been her actively trying to not bring it up or whatever. But because also she's on Instagram. She's like highlighting an Indian woman kind of every week or every couple weeks or something.
Okay.
So far, I've not been
High
on
lit.
there,
High
but
lit.
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I do think it's sort of newish where she's really leaning
vocal.
in, which I really, really like. But I was looking at this and I was like, oh, she probably doesn't like me because I'm pretty vocal about how much I've been.
How vocal you are that you're white.
Well, how vocal I am that I've been avoiding that my whole life.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so.
So she probably doesn't love that.
No,
I'm probably doing them a disservice.
I think you love her, you admire her, and you would want her very much to like you. So
I do.
You're thinking of reasons she wouldn't, just because you do like her so much. I think she would be, if any human being would be sympathetic to your journey, it would be her.
That's true.
But there is this a little bit of a mind fuck when you're a minority. This happens this was the fascinating element of the OJ documentary, the 6-parter, is that remember he said, "I'm not black, I'm OJ." Like he wanted
His own identity.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is like very understandable. There's so many layers of mind fuck.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, because you also, especially if you're doing something where there's talent or intelligence involved, you want to be in the pool with everybody.
Yeah.
Like she's the funniest, not she's the funniest Indian person.
Well, both. She's
Well-
both the funniest, and then by default makes her the funniest Indian person.
Well, right. But that's not like no one else is getting those distinctions where it almost feels like it's less. It feels
Yes.
like that. It's
Yes.
not, but
Yep.
it feels like that.
And again, I don't even know Mindy, so I would be totally speculating here. But I can at least imagine her story being exactly that. I don't want to be the funny Indian girl. I just want to be the funniest writer.
Exactly.
And then feeling a little insecure for a while about that. And then
Something
coming to
sweet.
have real self-esteem and confidence
Yeah.
and recognizing, no, I did make it, and now I don't feel that pressure.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to open it up, which is all fine.
Oh, okay. So he said that this cutout on the wall here is from People magazine, but it's not, right?
From Us,
It's from
I
Us
think, yeah.
Weekly.
Yeah, they're the nicest.
Really?
I'm being ironic. I mean,
Oh,
they do polls
sure.
like this.
Sure,
like, do you
sure.
hate Dax Shepard?
Sure.
What a kind poll to.
Well, not what you hate. What
Yeah,
you
just what you date. Oh, I mixed up.
You did
one
a
letter.
rhyming, yeah. Yeah, you did a rhyming snafu.
Also, do you hate Amy Winehouse's style? Like, what a
Actually,
nice...
it's do you like Amy's style?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's mean. It's all mean. I don't like any of it. Okay, so Hasan acted like he was not all that rare in being a tall Indian. And he's wrong.
Yeah, and he was saying all of his cousins are hotter than him.
Yeah. And look, they might be. Maybe their genes clearly are just attractive. So maybe there's a bunch of them that are.
Yeah.
But I just don't know about that. So the average height of an Indian woman is 5 feet.
You're above average.
I'm above average, yeah. Extra half inch.
A half inch above average. Not
And
shocked.
Average for a man, this is according to new research report from the Imperial College of London, 5 feet, 4.9 inches. So Hasan is way above average.
He's in the 99th
Also, I asked my
percentile.
mom, I was like, is it common for an Indian man to be over 6 feet? And she said, the ones raised here tend to be taller.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, why do you think that is? Maybe food. And she said, yeah, calcium. And then I said, no, because they are taking in a lot of calcium there with all the yogurt,
the milk.
And then my mom was like, well, it's not actually that much yogurt. And then I stopped talking to her.
Okay.
Then it got
Abruptly.
then I was like, I can't do this conversation anymore.
I'm going to make an observation. I grew up in a suburb of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit, for a while, was the blackest city in the country. I don't know if it still is. It was 92% black at one point.
Mm-hmm.
The dudes in Detroit were big. Big dudes. They were bigger than us white dudes on average, for sure. More muscular, taller, everything. I went to Africa. I was bigger than everybody.
Sure.
I was having such a crazy, like, oh my God, I'm bigger than everyone. I don't think I met someone in 2.5 weeks that was my height or even weight.
Yeah.
And it became like glaringly obvious what the slave trade did to a group of people. It's so startling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah. And that might be part of this too, but I feel like way less because I do think a lot of Indians marry other Indians.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like a generation or two ago.
Right.
Maybe the new kids now that are babies, it's going to get a little bit more diluted.
Yeah.
In the traditional Indian culture, they just want to keep everyone Indian as much as possible.
Pure. They want to stay pure like you.
Like me.
Yeah, pure.
100% pure.
100% pure.
Okay, so you said kids make 70% of marriages worse. For around 30 years, researchers have studied how having children affects a marriage, and the results are conclusive. The relationship between spouses suffers once kids come along. Comparing couples with and without children, researchers found that the rate of the decline in relationship satisfaction is nearly twice as steep for couples who have children than for childless couples. In the event that a pregnancy is unplanned, the parents experience even a greater negative impact on the relationship.
Ooh.
So, also according to the Washington Post, researchers followed 2016 Germans who were childless at the time the study began until at least 2 years after the birth of their first child. Respondents were asked to rate their happiness from 0, completely dissatisfied, to 10, completely satisfied, in response to the question, how satisfied are you with your life, all things considered? They found that most couples in their study started out pretty happy when they set out to have their first child. In the year prior to the birth, their life satisfaction ticked up even more, perhaps due to the pregnancy and anticipation of the baby. It was only after birth that the parents' experiences diverged. About 30% remained at about the same state of happiness or better once they had a baby, according to self-reported measures of well-being. The rest said their happiness decreased during the first and second year after the birth. To put things in perspective, previous studies have quantified the impact of other major life events on the same happiness scale in this way. Divorce, the equivalent of a 0.6 happiness unit drop. Unemployment, a 1 unit drop. And the death of a partner, a 1 unit drop.
And what was the child? A 1 unit drop?
37% of those people reported a 1 unit drop. 19% a 2 unit drop.
Ooh.
And 17% a 3 unit drop.
Ooh.
So,
Rob, where are you at on your drop?
I think I'm the same.
You're the same. That's good.
where are you on your drop?
It's really complicated, and it seems like it's too simple of a question because in some ways it's worse, in some ways it's better.
course,
You know, the shared joy is unique. You know, it goes up. The kind of pride, the team effort is up. The time with each other goes down, and that part goes down.
Yeah.
So it would be hard. Maybe it's net zero, like up in some areas and down in others.
Yeah, and I don't think this is necessarily specific about the couple. It's just like general happiness levels, which the couple thing is a big element of it, but also just like stress.
If you ask me, it'd have to be specific, not as one of my overall joy level with kids now. If you ask that, you'd get a high number because the kids have made my life happier. Mm-hmm. If you ask just specifically about my relationship, has it gone up or down, that I could see that being neutral or gone down in some areas and up in others.
Right.
Right before we had Lincoln, we went to Africa for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And you're just talking the whole time and connecting and interacting. And of course, that's going to result in more happiness with each other, I think.
Yeah.
As soon as half your conversations are about two little assholes,
right,
it's going to take a hit.
Right. Esther said, you become an organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And, the other part is when you're in a relationship, you're compromising on whatever shared task you're going to have, whether it's dinner or what vacation you're taking, but such a big chunk of your life is just yours, and you don't need to compromise about it. But now that these kids are involved, you're going to have as opposite views on those kids as you would about dinner or a vacation or a movie, anything. But now this thing is taking up 80% of your day as the kids, and that in and of itself is a compromise.
Yeah.
Most times.
Yeah. Okay, so Employee of the Month came out in 2006.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, because he knew the poster.
Yeah, he knew the poster.
I thought for sure he was going to be embarrassed for me, but he wasn't.
No.
He felt like he wanted to be on that shopping cart.
Yeah, he liked the idea that a comedian, Dane, and you could be in comedy clubs and then be on the poster of a big movie.
Yeah.
And then he said the thing about Harold and Kumar, which was sweet.
Yeah.
But then I felt bad when I heard that because when I saw the trailer for Bend It Like Beckham, I was so embarrassed.
You were?
Yes. I was so mad at it and so embarrassed.
That the topic would be on the table all the time now?
Yeah.
People want to talk to you about being Indian, maybe?
It's just more, now people are going to see that I'm also Indian. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
That's really stupid.
I think it's very normal.
I don't. I don't
do.
think it's normal. I think what he's doing is normal, where he's seeing something and he's like, hey, that's me. That's awesome. I'm happy about this. I'm prideful in this. I don't think what I have is normal. I hope it's not normal. That's horrible.
I think it's all based on whether or not you are successful at assimilating or not. Like if you're pulling off this big ruse, then you don't want anyone to blow your cover.
Yeah, but that's
if you're
not good.
If you're not pulling off, I just think trying to label something good or bad is not productive or useful. There's no good or bad. You're a kid, and that's how you felt.
I know, but it is not helpful to be obsessed with avoiding a big part of you.
Oh, most certainly. Yeah.
I mean,
I just think like good, bad. I don't know. That's a little bit of a judgment. I don't think necessary.
Okay, you said there's a study about parents now spending more time with their kids than in the 50s. Someone from the University of California, Irvine, found that modern mothers from 11 wealthy Western countries spent close to an hour more taking care of their kids in 2012 than mothers did in 1965. Dads now spend almost an hour partaking in childcare activities compared to fathers in 1965, who just spent 16 minutes on average.
There we go.
That trend
16 minutes
on average.
That's like just getting your coffee in the morning and acknowledging them. I think.
Yeah. The trend held true not only for parents who are highly educated, but also for those who are not. It also rang true for caregivers in Britain, Canada, Germany, Denmark, Italy, Netherlands, Slovenia, Spain, and the U.S. The only country that saw slight declines in time spent parenting was France, where the ethos of natural motherhood meant French mothers were already steeped in demanding child-rearing practices like lengthy breastfeeding and the management of cloth diapers.
By the way, I need that vibrating vest. Can you hear this morning? I've had a couple of rude throat clears on the program, and I apologize, but I need that vest. Should I do a GoFundMe?
Maybe somebody will buy a $2,000 mug and donate the money to your fund.
To my chest vibrator?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned John D. Rockefeller, and you said he wasn't a control freak.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was reading up on him. I really didn't know much about him. He's so interesting.
For my money, he's the most fascinating American of all time.
Also so philanthropic.
Oh, he changed this world, perhaps more than any other American, because in the late 1800s, when he became wealthy, there was no bar for medical education. There was no standard.
Yeah.
So what he did is he said, who's training the best doctors? And it was John Hopkins. And he took their curriculum and he went to every medical school and said, I will give you an endowment if you adopt this.
Wow.
He did things like, back then, there was this pervasive stereotype about Southerners that they were lazy. And what he discovered was there was something like 30% or even higher of Southerners suffered from hookworm.
Oh.
So you get hookworm in your foot because a lot of Southerners didn't wear shoes.
Sure.
They get hookworm, and if you get hookworm, it does make you super lethargic. And you can treat it really easy with like an iodine cycle or something. So then he spent all this money having a group travel around the South and educate people. First, he'd get rid of the hookworm, and then he would educate people to wear shoes. So any problem that like could be solved, he did. He was also super into integrating black folks into colleges. He started a lot of colleges for black folks. He started University of Chicago. He didn't put his name on anything. Unlike Carnegie, he was putting his name on everything.
Yeah. That's exciting. I think there's also some bad stuff about him, too.
Well, no, the only bad stuff is the antitrust stuff, that he had a monopoly, right? But if you read Titan, here's his monopoly. So a big baked-in cost was railroad transportation, right? So Standard started as a lamp fuel company. So they would refine crude oil in Cleveland, and then most of it would end up on railroad cars going to New York, and then that would get shipped across the Atlantic. There were set prices for that, but he went to the railroads and said, listen, I have figured out the reason it costs this much is because you have a train going out that's got train cars from 50 different companies. So you're going to have to stop 26 places along the way to New York. And that's why it's costing so much. So what I'm going to do is I'll build my own railroad cars. You don't even have to build them. And then the entire train will be filled with my railroad cars. I will promise you that I'm going to put 60 cars on that next train. So you only have to make one stop, New York. And I'm going to do that, but I want this rate. And the railroad company was like, yes, we're going to make more money and you're going to make more money. And that practice was frowned upon. But when I'm looking at that, I'm like, yeah, that was a great idea. Both parties won.
Right.
Okay, so he had an unfair advantage over other oil refineries in Cleveland, but that was through his own genius.
Right.
And then instead of competing with companies, he bought them all. Because here's another big thing. Back then, there were these cyclical booms in oil production, right? So it was all getting drilled in Pennsylvania. And there would be, 1 week lamp oil would be $10 a gallon. The next week it'd be 50 cents a gallon. And somebody needed to stabilize that market. The government wasn't doing it. And it was terrible for everyone involved, the consumer, the producers, everything. So he said, I'm going to own all of the refinery. So it doesn't really matter what happens to the boom and bust of the production line. I will store some, and then I'll have a consistent flow of output, and that's going to stabilize the price, which it did. But again, he created a monopoly in order to do that. So yes, monopolies are bad. Yes, blah, blah, blah. But he was by no means an evil dude. He, all of his kind of aspirations were for the good of everything. So the government ultimately broke up the Standard Oil empire. And the way they did it was they just took his company and they made him create 12 other companies. And when they did that, that's what made him a billionaire. At the time, he was only worth $200 and some million. And the punishment they gave him resulted in him overnight becoming a billionaire because all 12 of those companies now went up in huge value. And they made him even richer. So it also backfired for them.
Do you wish you were a teacher ever?
No.
You don't?
No. Should I be one?
I feel like you'd like to do that.
I'm trying to decide if that was a compliment or
Why would-
or if you were like, you're a know-it-all. You should go.
No.
Oh.
No, you're not a know-it-all, but you like sharing knowledge.
I do, yeah. Things I find fascinating. I play it out in my head. And just, yes, if I had 30 students like you, I would love to be a teacher.
Yeah, no.
If I had 10 students like Dax, I would fucking shoot myself.
I don't know. I think you'd also like the challenge of that.
Of locking horns with
A young buck, baklava.
a young baklava.
Oh, I hope they don't
Oh.
have to spread their baklava all over the classroom.
No. Oh, geez.
Yeah,
to
that's
intimidate
something.
me.
Yeah, that's something to clean up. No, I just think in another life, maybe you would like to do that. It'd be a good profession for you.
Maybe I'll do it. Well, we're returning to college, you and I, so
Yeah.
we'll start racking up like master's degrees and stuff.
And then maybe you'll just TA.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's all.
All right. Well, that was great. I loved seeing you guys bond up and take me down. It was.
We
it
did
was great.
not take you down. All right. Bye.
Love you.
Love you.